police in town love fucking child killers. They can blow up a goddamn gas station and my police will protect them. They can come in and murder my best friend and my police will protect them. Did you really think they were gonna do shit over a broken fucking window?
Where have all the good men gone and where are all the gone? Where's the street?
We move to Shelby County, Iowa, where an explosion levels the gas station that stood for more than 40 years.
Imagine being inside this house, literally across the street from the gas station. The moment the explosion happened, that flying debris shattering almost every window. Two explosions leveled the building. People could see and hear them miles away.
So I crawled out and I turned around and looked back in there. My brother-in-law was still in there, so I helped pull him out.
They tried to unalive me when I was naked and wet. I couldn't be in a more vulnerable situation. But they failed. But just because they failed doesn't mean it didn't count.
They're breaking into my house continuously. I can't keep fucking peanut butter in my house. And I'm not eating it. I told a friend of mine, and they told me, dumbass, they're not eating your peanut butter. You're feeding it to your fucking dogs.
If you come on panel, Dave, and you share me your address, I will send you a case of these giant fucking jars of peanut butter.
Giant jars of
Girth butter.
girth butter. Girth butter.
Giant fucking jar.
This shit needs to stop. They get into my house at will. Sheriff's Department is helping them. They're fucking pedophiles hurting kids, and they need to be fucking investigated.
State Fire Marshal's office is investigating how exactly this happened.
I know we've already had reports that it's almost all the way through this town, which is about 6 to 8 blocks north and south.
And they need to be fucking investigated. Fucking pedophiles hurting
Terry
kids.
Joyce and Gio and Corey Daniel and all conspiring to do whatever they can to screw me. This is all coming out. It's all going to get busted, and I am going to nail every person I can. I'm right here. Isaac's not going to make a fucking bit of difference in any of this. It has all come down now to me. It's not about Isaac anymore. It's about me. It's about me. It's about me.
Yeah. So he thinks. So he thinks.
It's about me.
Yeah, it's about him. That's what he thinks, guys. That's what he thinks. Yep, exactly. What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. I hope your weekend's been going good. We watched the UFC fights last night. The kids were over, the grandbaby. We spent the weekend doing family things as usual. And I'm sitting here on a Sunday, just kind of like, well, what do I want to do, man? It's too hot to go outside and mow the grass in the back. I did the side lot in the front yards a couple of days ago. So I'm going to kind of wait till the sun goes down. So we're on here a little bit earlier than normal today. But for those of you who are in here, I'm assuming you were also just on the YouTube page where I shared a short podcast type series breaking down what's went on with Thomas Schoenberger, what his criminal patterns and behavior of stalking and manipulating the systems is all about. And so I have one more, and I was just going to play it as a premiere, but we'll just go ahead and do it here because Liz, apparently she was bored too because she was like, go live, go live. So here we are. We're live. We're fucking live. Pavana's over there. Yep. Look, she's not chained up. She's not in the fucking rubber room.
Excuse me.
Wearing her pretty new dress, by the way. Yeah. So yeah, she's not being locked up in the padded room. She's out and about today. And everybody at the compound today is free to just have some fun. So anyway, I do have one more short podcast that I had put together, and it basically is about the frivolous, vexatious lawsuits that Thomas has filed. And it's going to be a deep dive and a breakdown of what happened in the Wayne County case. And it doesn't mention the federal case yet because we really haven't, gotten deep into that one, and we don't have an outcome there yet. But as everybody knows, the Wayne County case was in fact finally thrown out by the judge, dismissed with prejudice. So let's just go ahead and take a look at this real quick. And I'll probably play the other podcast that I played a little bit earlier at the end of this show, just to get it documented in this live stream as well. I believe we got a little bit of Charter to listen to, and we'll open the panel up, and if people want to come up and just shoot the shit, no pun intended, since we're in Sewer Town, you're going to be more than welcome to do so. That invitation is also going to go out to the trolls. All you trolls, Thomas, Lestat, Marcia Stockton, Titties Frost, all you weirdos who keep talking shit on the internet, but y'all got people blocked. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That just shows the cowardice of all of you guys. Why block people when you're talking mad shit about them on social media? I mean, there's no excuse other than you're just cowards. So when I post the link, all you freaky trolls who are involved, you're also more than welcome to come up here and we can discuss your bad behavior and why you choose to have that behavior. But without further ado, let's take a listen to this other short podcast that basically does a very similar deep dive into the Wayne County court case. Yeah, let's do that.
Ever tried to play 2 games of chess at the exact same time against the exact same opponent?
Oh man, that sounds completely exhausting and confusing.
Right. And you're hoping that if you start losing on one board, you can just, miraculously pivot and somehow win on the other board.
Which, I mean, is definitely against the rules of literally any legitimate chess tournament you might find yourself in.
Exactly. But what happens when a litigant tries to execute that exact same simultaneous strategy within the legal system?
Well, it creates an absolute procedural gridlock. And that is exactly what we're untangling today. And our mission for this deep dive is to basically dissect a massive procedural knot. We're going to examine these desperate motions to amend a complaint, some fierce disputes over expired summons, and, well, a judge's ultimate, rather pragmatic decision to just shut the entire case down.
Yeah, to really grasp the dynamics here, you have to picture the scene. We are in
Really
a tense courtroom.
Where you can almost feel the static.
Totally. You can feel the frustration coming right through the screen. You have the presiding judge, who is managing a really heavy docket and clearly prioritizing efficiency, dealing with a very persistent plaintiff's attorney, a Mr. Powers.
Right. And on the other side of the virtual aisle, you have this entire squad of defense attorneys representing Michigan State University, a Professor Gilly, and several other individuals.
And the overarching theme of this hearing is the plaintiff attempting a series of highly aggressive legal maneuvers to avoid having their case thrown out entirely.
It really operates as a masterclass in what happens when a hyper-technical procedural strategy just collides head-on with a judge's demand for judicial pragmatism.
Yeah.
But to understand how this case ultimately collapses at the end of the hearing, we first have to look at the plaintiff's initial attempts to shift the battlefield, right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate, yeah. Before they even address the substance of the lawsuit, the plaintiff's attorney actually attempts to litigate the very judge presiding over the case.
Right. So the case had originally been assigned to a Judge Snow, and then it got transferred to the current judge running the hearing.
And the plaintiff's attorney heavily implies that Judge Snow was, quote-unquote, disqualified.
Yeah, he's clearly hinting that there might have been some sort of bias or, malfeasance going on.
He's trying to use this shadow of bias to argue that some of Judge Snow's earlier rulings against his client, specifically dismissing certain defendants for lack of personal jurisdiction, that those should be entirely reconsidered by the new judge.
But the reality of that situation, as the current judge firmly establishes on the record, is far less scandalous.
Oh, way less scandalous.
The current judge shuts down that narrative immediately. It wasn't a bias issue or a forced disqualification. It was literally just a standard administrative docket swap.
Right. The current judge had to step away from a completely unrelated case involving the Archdiocese of Detroit due to a conflict.
Exactly. So the two judges simply traded case files to balance their workloads. It was pure docket control.
So the judge makes it explicitly clear that there is no underlying bias to exploit here and just denies the request to reconsider those earlier dismissals.
Right. And okay, let's unpack this, because right after that initial strategy fails, the plaintiff immediately pivots to another maneuver.
They push for a motion to amend their complaint. And keep in mind, they have been litigating this for, 8 months at this point?
8 months, yeah.
Now they want to add a brand new defendant, a Corey Michael Daniel, and they want to bolster their claims using what they term a conspiracy theory of personal jurisdiction.
It is a highly aggressive jurisdictional theory to introduce this late in the game. They were relying on the hub and spoke model.
The hub and spoke model.
Yeah, so for context, this is a concept you typically see in complex antitrust litigation or massive criminal syndicates.
Oh, wow.
The plaintiff argues that if the central hub of an alleged conspiracy is located in Michigan, then the court automatically secures personal jurisdiction over all the spokes, meaning the alleged co-conspirators.
Regardless of where those individuals actually reside.
Exactly. The argument is that the overarching conspiracy tethers an out-of-state defendant to the Michigan courtroom, even if they have literally no other minimum contacts with the state.
My immediate thought is you are essentially trying to rewrite the foundational rules of your own lawsuit 8 months after filing it.
Yeah, it's wild.
It sounds like the plaintiff realized their ship was actively taking on water, so they tried to redesign the hull while they were already sinking.
That's a great way to put it.
Is it standard practice for a court to allow that kind of sweeping jurisdictional amendment when the defense already has motions pending to dismiss the case entirely?
Well, what's fascinating here is how the judge views the underlying motive. Under civil procedure rules, amending a complaint is generally permitted.
Yeah.
And even encouraged early on if a party discovers new facts during initial discovery. But you cannot use an amendment as a tactical shield.
Ah, I see.
The judge notes that the plaintiff is attempting to amend the complaint. specifically to dodge the defense's pending motions for summary disposition.
Right, because if the judge allows the amendment, the original complaint technically disappears.
Exactly. Which means the defense's current motions to dismiss are suddenly targeting a document that no longer exists.
So it is just a delay tactic. It forces the defense to go back to the drawing board and draft entirely new motions based on the new amended complaint.
Precisely. It is an attempt to hit a procedural reset button, and the judge sees right through it and flatly denies the amendment.
The court determines that 8 months is simply too late to introduce novel jurisdictional theories just to evade a looming summary disposition.
Right. So the judge slams the door on changing the complaint. With their primary strategy dead, the plaintiff has to rely on a different procedural weapon to keep the case alive.
And this is where they point to the fact that they had already secured defaults against several of the MSU defendants.
Yes. That defense completely hinged on a timeline that was rapidly falling apart.
A default is a massive procedural advantage, though, right?
Huge.
Yeah.
If a defendant fails to respond to a lawsuit within the strict time frame dictated by the summons, the plaintiff can ask the court to enter a default, basically winning that portion of the case because the other side just failed to show up.
Right.
But a default is only as valid as the summons it is based on. And here, the foundation was built on procedural quicksand.
Let's look at the mechanics of that timeline, because civil procedure mandates strict compliance with summons expirations. The first summons in this case expired on November 6th.
Right.
The plaintiff, clearly realizing they were running out of time, managed to get a second summons issued the very next day, on November 7th.
Which is a problem.
A big problem, because that second summons was issued exactly 1 day after the original one had already expired. The judge declares the second summons totally null and void.
You just can't resurrect an expired summons.
Which means any default judgments secured based on that second voided summons are fundamentally invalid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the plaintiff's attorney pushes back hard on this front. He just abandons the second summons and argues that he successfully executed valid service on the MSU trustees under the first summons.
Wait, how?
He states that he sent the paperwork via certified mail on November 5th, so 1 day before the deadline, and he claims that the university's agents physically signed the green delivery cards.
Ah.
His argument is that the university accepted service on behalf of all these individual trustees before the clock ran out.
Okay, let me push on that for a second. If the plaintiff actually sent the certified mail on the 5th, and they have the signed green cards from the university mailroom proving delivery before the expiration date, shouldn't that count?
You'd think so.
Why does the expiration of the summons override the physical proof that the documents arrived at the university?
Well, it really comes down to the strict mechanics of due process. Getting a signature from a mailroom clerk at a massive university does not automatically equate to legally valid service on an individual trustee who is being sued in their personal capacity.
Oh, right, because they're being sued personally, not just the school.
Exactly. The defense attorneys presented sworn affidavits from these specific individuals, categorically stating they never received actual notice of the lawsuit within the valid time frame.
Wow.
For the court, it wasn't just a matter of the mail arriving at a building. It was the fact that the defendants themselves were not properly brought into the litigation before the summons died.
So the judge looks at this entire mess, the expired first summons, the improperly issued second summons, the competing claims over certified mail, the affidavits denying actual notice, and decides to set aside the default judgments entirely.
Yep, clean slate.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The plaintiff's attorney tries to trap the defense in a highly technical sequencing error.
Yes. The plaintiff argues that the defense filed their motions to dismiss the case before the judge officially set aside the invalid defaults on the record.
Okay, so it's a timing thing.
Right. According to the plaintiff, the defense was procedurally out of turn. You technically cannot file a motion to dismiss a case when you are currently in default status.
Oh, I see.
The plaintiff demands that the court strike the defense's dismissal motions purely based on that tiny timing discrepancy.
I have to play devil's advocate here. Isn't form the whole point of civil procedure?
That's a fair question.
If we allow judges to just ignore the strict sequence of filings because it is more convenient, doesn't that create a slippery slope where the rules don't matter and we are just litigating based on, vibes? It seems like the plaintiff actually caught them on a legitimate rule violation.
It is a really clever trap, and strictly according to the rigid sequence of the rule book, the plaintiff is right. But this is where the philosophy of jurisprudence comes into play. The judge refuses to strike the defense's motions, explicitly stating that the court is not going to exalt form over substance.
Form over substance. That is a phrase you hear constantly in legal analysis.
And it is a crucial concept to grasp if you want to understand how judges actually manage their dockets. Think of it like a referee in a basketball game.
Okay, I like a sports analogy.
If the shot clock is clearly broken and buzzing randomly, and a player scores a legitimate basket, the referee isn't going to wave off the points just because the buzzer sounded at the wrong time.
Right.
The form is the buzzer. The substance is that it was a clean shot. In this case, the substance is the underlying reality that these defendants were never properly brought into the lawsuit because the summons was invalid.
You see this in corporate bureaucracy all the time, too. It's like getting a legitimate travel expense denied by HR because you submitted the blue form instead of the red form.
Yes. Perfect example.
Even though you provided all the receipts and followed the travel policy perfectly, the judge here is essentially refusing to act like a rigid HR department.
Exactly. If the judge followed the plaintiff's logic, the court would have to strike the defense's motions, wait for the ink to dry on the order, setting aside the defaults, and then force the defense attorneys to refile the exact same dismissal motions the very next morning.
Which is just a huge waste of time.
It's paperwork for the sake of paperwork. It violates the core principle of judicial economy. The court system is severely overburdened. This judge prioritizes judicial economy over forcing everyone to walk through a performative procedural dance when the underlying defaults were already deemed invalid.
Which brings us, inevitably, to the final blow. With the defaults dissolved and the attempt to amend the complaint completely denied, the court finally confronts the underlying jurisdictional absurdity of this entire hearing.
Yeah, the elephant in the room.
Why is a Wayne County Circuit Court judge even spending time on this case?
The elephant in the room? Are they talking about that guy sitting in that chair right there? The elephant in the fucking room?
God.
Now I understand why you said they needed a bigger chair, Pavana. Now I get
didn't
it.
say it. It wasn't me.
By the way, guys, I found this image on purpose of the lawyers sitting at the table with their heads in their hands, looking frustrated, because that's exactly what it was in this hearing that they're talking about. The lawyers were just flabbergasted with the stupidity coming from Thomas and his attorney.
When an almost identical lawsuit is actively playing out in an entirely different court.
This is the crux of the two-court problem, governed in Michigan by MCR 2.11C6.
Okay, let's break that down.
If we look at the mechanics of this rule, it dictates that a court must dismiss an action if there is already another action between the same parties involving the same claims currently pending in another court of the same state.
Makes total sense.
It is a rule designed specifically to prevent the exact scenario we are discussing. You cannot sue the exact same people for the exact same underlying grievances in two different venues simultaneously.
And the backstory provided by the defendant is wild. A full year prior to this Wayne County hearing, the plaintiff filed this exact same lawsuit in the Michigan Court of Claims under a Judge Redford.
Right.
Ding, ding, ding.
And for context, the Court of Claims is a specialized court designed specifically to handle litigation against the state of Michigan and its departments.
So the plaintiff correctly identified the state defendants and filed in the proper specialized court.
Yep. But the litigation there stalled. The defense filed motions for summary disposition.
So, guys, this is very important to understand. This part right here is very important to understand. They're talking about the Court of Claims denying one of Thomas's motions, and then how Thomas decided he was going to try to remedy that problem. So listen closely.
Correctly identified the state defendants and filed in the proper specialized court.
Yep. But the litigation there stalled. The defense filed motions for summary disposition. The plaintiff apparently missed a deadline to respond. And when the plaintiff finally asked for an extension and for permission to amend their complaint in the Court of Claims, Judge Redford denied the request.
So in the Court of Claims, the original case against MSU, Dilly, and the trustees, Thomas and his lawyer missed a deadline, and they asked the judge for more time, and the judge denied them and shot them down. So now they're going to tell you exactly how Thomas remedied that in an improper way.
So what does this all mean? Did the plaintiff file an appeal in the Court of Claims? Did they accept the ruling and prepare for trial on the original complaint?
No.
No. According to the timeline presented by the defense, roughly 7 or 8 days after getting that definitive no from Judge Redford, the plaintiff simply walked over to the Wayne County Circuit Court and filed a brand new lawsuit.
The defense characterizes this as artful pleading, which is, a very polite legal term for attempting to disguise a duplicate lawsuit.
Yes, artful pleading or venue shopping. So we're gonna go back just a second so you can hear that again. When the judge in the original case denied to give them an extension on time because they didn't do things properly, instead of filing an appeal in the Court of Claims, which is what they should have done, Thomas ran over to the Wayne County courts within a week and filed a brand new case.
Accept the ruling and prepare for trial on the original complaint?
No.
No. According to the timeline presented by the defense, roughly 7 or 8 days after getting that definitive no from Judge Redford, the plaintiff simply walked over to the Wayne County Circuit Court and filed a brand new lawsuit.
The defense characterizes this as artful pleading, which is, a very polite legal term for attempting to disguise a duplicate lawsuit.
I love that. Artful pleading.
They argued the plaintiff intentionally tweaked the Wayne County complaint to make it look just different enough to survive initial scrutiny.
Yep.
The original lawsuit in the Court of Claims contains 16 counts. The new Wayne County lawsuit miraculously contains 17 counts.
Oh, shocking.
Yep.
The plaintiff added a single new claim under the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act. And crucially, they added a demand for a jury trial.
Which is a big deal, right?
That detail is vital because the Michigan Court of Claims strictly operates without juries.
Right.
A judge makes the final rulings.
This feels like the most classic example of forum shopping imaginable. It is like a teenager getting a firm no from mom regarding borrowing the car and immediately running into the other room to ask dad.
Yes.
But to make it seem like a different request, they put on a fake mustache and say, "I'm not asking to borrow the sedan, Dad. I'm asking to requisition the 4-wheeled motorized transport vehicle, and I want a jury."
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture of how the judicial system functions, that analogy perfectly captures the dynamic.
Yeah.
The legal system is fundamentally designed to provide finality and to protect parties from harassment. If a litigant is permitted to continuously file the same lawsuit in different counties every time they receive an unfavorable ruling from a judge, the entire infrastructure of civil litigation would just collapse under its own weight.
Yeah, nobody has time for that.
It is fundamentally unfair to force defendants to continuously fund legal teams to fight the exact same battles on multiple fronts.
Exactly.
Furthermore, it creates a massive risk of conflicting orders. You cannot have a judge in Wayne County and a judge in the Court of Claims issuing contradictory rulings on the exact same set of facts on the same day.
I see the logic there, but the plaintiff's attorney mounts a very specific jurisdictional defense for filing in Wayne County.
Oh, he tries.
He argues that he had to file in the circuit court because the Court of Claims fundamentally lacks the jurisdiction to hear that newly added 17th count, the Elliott-Larsen civil rights claim.
Right.
He contends that only a circuit court has the authority to hear that specific statutory claim and, more importantly, to grant the jury trial associated with it.
That jurisdictional friction between the specialized court of claims and the general circuit courts is a very real, highly debated area of Michigan law.
Okay, so he wasn't just making that up.
No, it's a real issue. But the judge evaluates the reality of the situation and drops the gavel anyway. The judge looks at the substance. The parties are identical. The underlying factual allegations regarding the university of the professors are identical. And Judge Redford in the Court of Claims had already accepted jurisdiction a year ago and was actively managing the primary case.
So the Wayne County judge essentially says, you cannot play fast and loose with the system. You cannot maintain a holding pattern in one court while actively attempting to litigate the same facts in another jurisdiction just to see which venue yields a better result.
Exactly. The judge invokes MCR 2.116 and completely dismisses the Wayne County case. It's a full stop. And it is worth noting the level of frustration from the defense attorneys here. They were so exasperated by having to defend against this dual lawsuit tactic that they formally requested the judge to sanction the plaintiff.
Sanction them, like a fine.
Yeah, they wanted the plaintiff financially penalized for filing what they viewed as a frivolous, harassing, duplicate lawsuit.
The judge does draw a line there, though, right? They deny the request for financial sanctions.
Correct. While the judge was clearly irritated by the procedural maneuvering and the waste of the court's time, they determined that sanctions were unnecessary.
Okay.
The judge seemed satisfied that simply shutting down the duplicate lawsuit, dissolving the invalid default, and forcing the plaintiff to go back and deal exclusively with Judge Redford in the Court of Claims, that was a sufficient remedy. The dismissal itself was the penalty for the maneuvering.
That makes sense. When you zoom out and look at this entire deep dive, it is a fascinating cascade of procedural failures.
It really is.
It all begins with the unfounded, almost conspiratorial suspicions regarding an administrative judge swap. When that fails to gain traction, we see the desperate attempt to introduce the hub-and-spoke theory of jurisdiction at the 11th hour just to avoid summary disposition.
Right, the redesigning the hull of the sinking ship.
Exactly. Then comes the nullified summons, the collapse of the default judgments, and the failed attempt to weaponize a timing technicality. And it all culminates in the fatal flaw of trying to run twin lawsuits in two different courts simultaneously.
What this really highlights is the dual nature of civil procedure. Yes, it is incredibly complex, and yes, it is governed by rigid deadlines and highly technical rules. But those rules ultimately serve a deeply practical purpose, ensuring fairness and efficiency. Notice the pattern in the judge's rulings. Every time the plaintiff attempted to use a rule to create a technical advantage that ignored reality, whether it was trying to breathe life into an expired summons or trying to strike a dismissal motion because it was filed a day early, the judge looked right past the technical form to find the substantive reality.
Did the individual defendants have actual legal notice of the lawsuit before the clock ran out?
No, exactly. Is the court system being forced to litigate the exact same facts twice?
Yes.
It is a powerful lesson for anyone trying to navigate a complex, bureaucratic, or legal system. You cannot outsmart the basic rules of fair play.
No, you can't.
The legal system, at least in this specific Wayne County courtroom, heavily prioritized substantive reality and judicial economy over clever procedural loopholes. You have to win your case on the actual merits of your argument, not by catching your opponent on a filing technicality when the underlying foundation of your own maneuver is completely flawed.
You certainly cannot throw on a fake mustache to ask Dad for the keys when Mom already said no. The courts, burdened as they are, will see right through the disguise.
They absolutely will. The system is built to self-correct against those exact maneuvers.
It does, however, leave you with a lingering thought. A genuine jurisdictional puzzle that extends beyond just this one hearing.
Oh, definitely.
The Wayne County judge dismissed this duplicate case primarily because the Court of Claims already had jurisdiction over the original lawsuit. But the plaintiff's attorney was adamant that the Court of Claims fundamentally lacks the legal authority to adjudicate their specific Elliot Larson civil rights claim.
Right, and they definitely cannot grant a jury trial.
Which highlights the extreme friction between two rigid, specialized systems.
It really is. It's a huge systemic issue.
Exactly. So if a plaintiff is legally forced to keep their lawsuit in the specialized Court of Claims because they are suing state actors, but that same Court of Claims cannot legally hear their specific civil rights count, is it entirely possible for a legitimate, substantive legal grievance to fall completely through the cracks, purely because of the rigid jurisdictional boundaries drawn between different courts?
It's a tough question.
It makes you wonder, if the rules force you to play your game on only one chessboard, but half of your most important pieces aren't legally allowed to touch that specific board, is there any structural way to actually win the game?
Well, there you have it. That's what happened in Thomas's vexatious litigation attempts and his venue shopping in his little Walmart handicap cart. It hasn't worked out too well for him yet. But anyhow, I'm going to move on to a video that I ran across a few days ago that was actually put out by none other than Laura Dilley herself. And it talks about what basically her paper and what went on and so on and so forth. I believe she put this out there like on July the 8th. So a lot of you might find this interesting.
Thanks for joining us today for the University Interdisciplinary Colloquium. Today, though, we're very pleased to have with us Dr. Laura Dilley. Dr. Dilley received her BS in Brain and Cognitive Sciences in 1997 from MIT, and her PhD in Speech and Hearing Biosciences and Technology from MIT and Harvard in 2005. Her research focuses on the cognitive underpinnings of and capacities for spoken language, including speech development and use in both neurotypical and neuroatypical populations. Her research is built on the foundations of social cognitive neuroscience to better understand spoken communication in context, including the role of cognitive bias, and personality factors, and language perception and understanding. She is the author of over 85 peer-reviewed publications. She's been an invited speaker at multiple conferences and venues worldwide, including serving as the keynote speaker for Speech Prosody 2016 in Boston and the Rummel-Hart Symposium in Cognitive Science in 2018. While locked down under the COVID pandemic, the way she describes it, she began studying propaganda and disinformation on the social media platform Twitter. A project about COVID disinformation turned into a focus on online propaganda during a US election year, 2020. This research will appear soon in the journal Frontiers in Communication, and it is also the focus of our talk today, QAnon propaganda on Twitter as information warfare. Dr. Dilley.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank the MSU Center for Interdisciplinarity for providing a forum for cross-disciplinary academic talks such as this one. And my goal is to provide an overview of some recent and historical current events and to provide a synthesis while sharing my own research. The title of my talk is QAnon Propaganda on Twitter as Information Warfare, Influencers, Networks, and Narratives. I'm going to describe some studies done by myself and colleagues just accepted for publication in the journal Frontiers in Communication. And the context for this work is widespread weaponization of social media, which we have seen in recent years. Platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube have become an emerging threat to the stability of democracies around the world. And informed citizens have learned the hard way that social media tools like these are highly vulnerable to use and misuse and abuse for political ends. This has been demonstrated through emergence of multiple examples of powerful actors running deceptive, unethical political campaigns on social media. These include the Russian government, which has invested early in social media platforms, as revealed by tech entrepreneur Yuri Milner's early investment in Facebook and flattery of its CEO. Together, the Russian government-linked oligarchs indisputably ran sophisticated influence operations on the US presidential election in 2016, which is reportedly continued through 2020. Another example is the collaboration between Trump operative Steve Bannon and arch-conservative billionaires Robert Mercer and his daughter Rebecca to create psychological warfare weapons, in the words of whistleblower Christopher Wiley. I am linking to the talk, the interview that he gives with The Guardian, where he describes his remarkable experiences, in case you care to follow that up. The inadequacy of measures employed by social media companies to mitigate these election influence operations has only become more glaringly obvious with additional whistleblowers coming forward, such as Francis. Better?
That's it.
Thank you.
Great.
So what is QAnon and how does it relate to tech tool misuse? To begin to answer that question, I'm going to play a couple of clips from a 60 Minutes episode from February 2021, shortly after the insurrection at the US Capitol.
The ideology of QAnon has captured the minds and imaginations of tens of millions of Americans. Their core belief, a global cabal, including Democrats, Hollywood elites, and members of what they call the deep state, control much of our lives. The cabal commits atrocities, including pedophilia, Satan worship, and cannibalizing children. But it will be vanquished by Donald Trump in an apocalyptic day called the Storm. QAnon was born when an anonymous character named Q began posting cryptic riddles in an online forum known for hosting hateful and racist content. The movement prospered in pandemic isolation. Its followers occasionally erupting in acts of violence, culminating in the assault on the Capitol. But the prophesied storm never happened. Instead, Donald Trump left office, and QAnon followers have found themselves at a moment of truth.
The story will continue in a moment.
QAnon supporters charged into battle with the crowd storming the Capitol on January 6th. Some were easy to spot with their Q signs and Q chants. Nearly 1 in 10 of those arrested had a QAnon connection. And like the movement overall, they were men and women, often older. There was a federal employee, a business owner who covered his store in a QAnon mural, and a real estate agent who arrived by private plane. A survey by the conservative American Enterprise Institute found more than a quarter of white evangelical Protestants and nearly 1 in 5 white Catholics believe the QAnon conspiracy.
So this talk focuses on several present dilemmas and motivations. First of all, how did QAnon grow rapidly into a powerful, radicalizing socio-political movement? Also, who are some of the individuals and groups implicated in promoting QAnon? What do their activities on social media contribute to understanding QAnon's surprising rise? And also, a big question is, was QAnon propaganda strictly grassroots, involving citizens acting independently, as some journalists have claimed, or did it receive boosting through astroturfing on social media? So these are some questions that I intend to answer. The outline of my talk is as follows. I'm first going to frame the why and how around some scholarly work. I then am going to present background on QAnon's gestalt of narratives and influencers. And finally, I'll present some overviews of studies on Twitter networks of QAnon influencers on Twitter and QAnon propaganda. To begin, framing the why and how, I'm going to take you through some information on memes and information warfare, conceptual blind spots in democracies, tech-enabled shifts in power, and digital influence mercenaries. So for me, keeping occupied during COVID lockdown in an election year rife with social media disinformation launched me into novel areas of study, which became this project. My scholarly home turf is as an expert in language cognition and communication, from which I'm acutely aware that linguistic and visual content can influence thought and emotion. Like other academics concerned about destabilizing and destructive uses of social media, I asked myself, how has it been the case that powerful corporate and nation state actors have created these efficient political campaigns to undermine our democracy? But part of the answer relates to memes. The word meme has only recently gained a prominent place in our lexicons, and we tend to think of memes as faddish adolescent visual content on the internet with an edgy, humorous, offensive, or even hateful message, as exemplified by this Pepe meme. However, the broader definition of a meme actually is much broader, in that a meme can be defined as an idea, behavior, style, or style that spreads by means of imitation from person to person within a culture, often carrying symbolic meaning. Communication involves transmission of information, and that information, including the memes therein, can be weaponized to deliberately alter cognition and beliefs of a populace, which social media makes possible at grand scales. Indeed, Jeff Gizea is an organizer of the so-called alt-right, which is the American ethno-nationalist movement, and as well as for Donald Trump affiliated causes. He's worked with arch libertarian Peter Thiel, and Mike Cernovich, as well as self-described neo-Nazi Andrew Ehrenhauer, or Weave, as he's known in for his hacker name. He even wrote a paper called "It's Time to Embrace Memetic Warfare" in this journal, Defense Strategic Communications. To better understand the context of the memetic warfare, we can consider some quotes from academics. For example, information warfare exploits open society's freedoms of speech, access to information, movement, and more to turn societies against themselves, creating chaos and breeding suspicion. A complementary quote relates to the broader ways in which information is shaped. Koba states, at the moment, the truth is not that we are engaged in narrative. The truth is that we are engaged in narrative warfare with Russia, China, extremists, and many more, not information warfare. So there are complementary terms to describe what's going on in our society, but clearly there's some nefarious things going on. I next want to tell you about a blind spot in democracies. How could something like this happen? Part of the answer recently comes from academic scholarship around organized persuasive communication identified by Bakir and colleagues. So organized persuasive communication refers to persuasive activities like advertising and marketing, public relations, etc. And organized persuasive communication is essential to the democratic exercise of power at national and global levels. It's been extensively studied by scholars of public relations, propaganda, and promotional culture. However, Bakir et al. Said there exists considerable confusion and conceptual limitations across these fields. Scholars of PR largely focus on what they perceive to be non-manipulative forms of organized persuasive communication. Scholars of propaganda focus on manipulative forms, but tend either to examine historical cases or non-democratic states. Scholars of promotional culture focus on salesmanship in public life. All approaches show minimal conceptual development concerning manipulative organized persuasive communication involving deception, incentivization, and coercion. As a consequence, manipulative, propagandistic, organized persuasive communication within liberal democracies is a blind spot. Another facet of this big picture problem that we're dealing with relates to tech-enabled shifts in power. The internet and the availability of tech tools means that online activities are a new arena for political dominance as well as exertion of soft power. This includes Russia's longstanding efforts to undermine democracies, and Valery Gerasimov, the chief of general staff of the Russian armed forces, is believed to be the mastermind behind the concept of combining military, technological, information, diplomatic, economic, cultural, and other tactics for the purpose of achieving strategic goals known as the Gerasimov doctrine of hybrid warfare. This has been called a modern way of conducting a war by inducing chaos, disorder, civil war, and humanitarian catastrophe in the enemy country before a single bullet is fired. Other areas of power relate to individuals who come together in collectives such as WikiLeaks or the hacker collective Anonymous, where very technically sophisticated individuals are acting in concert to achieve goals, shifting potentially the balance of power. Another aspect of our world that has changed due to these shifts in power enabled by tech is the rise of social media influencers who create and share content, where we get the new term YouTubers. And finally, I want to tell you a little bit about digital influence warfare and digital mercenaries. So in doing background research for this project, it came to my attention that this is a big topic in that some of the leading scholars in strategic communications and military strategy are writing books on how the world is changing due to the tech tools that are now available in such widespread fashion. So here's one book, and I found that that just came out, and there's another one by the same author who publishes in journals like Journal of Advanced Military Strategy, called Digital Influence Mercenaries. So people who work for their bread and butter in disinformation have been talking about this, and I pulled one quote. States that run covert influence operations can design and implement the operation in-house, or they can outsource the work to digital mercenaries. So this idea of very sophisticated or technically adept individuals working together to affect some goal carries over to how disinformation campaigns are deployed these days. Having given you that academic background, let me now tell you more about QAnon specifically and give you a sense of the gestalt of its narratives and some of its influencers. I'm going to talk about the 2016 Russian hacking and something called Pizzagate. Then I'll talk about religion and spirituality. Then topics around the alt-right and so-called white replacement narratives. I'll mention some influencers, and then I'll define live action role play or LARPs and alternative reality games or ARGs. So it is widely established that Russia interfered with the 2016 US presidential election, and Russian hackers stole emails from the Democratic National Party. Damaging disinformation narratives came out that used details from these emails, which revolved around supposed child sexual abuse or slavery and satanic rites carried out supposedly by elites and Democrats particularly. QAnon has narrative origins in the 2016 so-called Pizzagate theory, and this conspiracy alleged that a Washington, D.C. area pizzeria was the operational base of a ring of pedophiles, which included prominent Democratic Party members like Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, and these individuals were supposedly also engaged in satanic rites and cannibalism. Trump affiliates, including Eric Prince and Roger Stone, promoted this disinformation, as well as individuals with their own media bases, including Alex Jones. The narratives were very compelling to some individuals and were sufficient to radicalize at least one person, a guy named Edgar Welch. I'm going to play you a clip to give you a sense of how powerful these narratives can be.
And riot SWAT teams are closing the building and the street, and leaves this gunman alone to search the restaurant or do whatever he's going to do.
The first thing that he did was immediately walk towards the back room. I'm not sure what he thought he was going to find back here, but I think that he thought that this was the place where Hillary Clinton would be, or he was going to walk back there and find John Podesta or George Soros or someone.
Came out of the restaurant, came out with his hands up to a sea of police.
Hands! We got a guy coming out right now. Stand up! We got a white male subject coming out of the location. Hands in the air. Get on the ground, lay prone on the ground.
Sir, do you work there?
No, sir.
Are you
Who else is in the location right now? Nobody else.
Nobody else?
What were you doing in the location? Making sure there's nothing there. Making sure there's nothing there regarding what? Pedophile ring. Regarding what? Pedophile ring.
Holy shit, we just dropped from like 20-something viewers.
Riot SWAT teams are
just remarkable. And so you have a sense now of how powerful these narratives can be, actuating persons to do something.
My channel.
So that's one facet of our recent history that shaped QAnon narratives, which seamlessly transitioned to the idea that Donald Trump was secretly prosecuting these supposed morally corrupt Democrats and liberals. Another facet of QAnon relates to religion, spirituality, and its integration with QAnon. So QAnon ideology has also become popular not only among religious conservatives, as you heard, but also among spiritual and wellness communities. So here is a clip that illustrates how this has happened.
But yoga, meditation, and crystal healing, not typically what you'd expect from members of the far-right conspiracy group. How do you think QAnon became mainstream in the wellness community?
You know, where we go one, we go all. The Great Reset, Great Happening. Where we go one, we go all. That's yoga. Oneness, unity. My liberation is bound.
Some call it pastel QAnon, a cross-section of conspiracy and spirituality thriving in the suburbs of Southern California. From the dark web and into the mainstream.
It felt like this odd trauma bond. How is something that I thought was so alt-right affecting a population that I presumed was progressive alt-left?
Another clip that I've selected to illustrate some strategy around how potentially these communities could be infiltrated by individuals wishing to change narratives and beliefs at grand scale is the following, which comes from a historical clip of a former KGB operative who defected to the West and gave a number of interviews revealing some strategies that the Russian Secret Service has deployed over time.
Oh, fuck.
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, a great spiritual leader, or maybe a great charlatan and crook, depending on from which side you're looking at him. Beatles were trained at his ashram in Hardwar in India how to meditate. Mia Farrow and other useful idiots from Hollywood visited his school, and they returned back to United States absolutely zonked out of their minds with marijuana, hashish, and crazy ideas of meditation. To meditate, in other words, to isolate oneself from the current social and political issues of your own country, to get into your own bubble, to forget about troubles of the world. Obviously, KGB was very fascinated with such a beautiful school, such a brainwashing center for stupid Americans. I was dispatched by the KGB to check what kind of VIP Americans attend this school.
That's you on the left.
Yes, I'm on the left. I was trying to get enrolled in that school. Unfortunately, the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi asked too much. He wanted $500 American for enrollment. But my function was not actually to get enrolled in the school. My function was to discover what kind of people from United States attend this school. And we discovered that, yes, there are some influential members of family, public opinion makers of United States who come back with the crazy stories about Indian philosophy. Indians themselves look upon them as idiots, useful idiots. To say nothing about KGB, who looked at them as extremely naive, misguided people. Obviously, a VIP, say a wife of a congressman or a prominent Hollywood personality, after being trained in that school, is much more instrumental in the hands of manipulators of public opinion and KGB than a normal person who understands, who looks through this type of fake.
Having now considered some of the radicalizing narratives of QAnon and its infiltration into spiritual and wellness communities, I want to also mention another relationship, an intersecting consideration that relates to QAnon, which is the alt-right, white replacement, and the occult. So QAnon has been quite popular among individuals affiliated with the American ethno-nationalist far right, or the alt-right. For example, a prominent oath keeper, John B. Wells, organized a benefit for Michael Flynn, where Flynn gave a famous digital soldiers speech. Also, many Proud Boys were present on January 6th. Among the alt-right and in QAnon, narratives of fear of white extinction and fear of white replacement are common. And as I started to look more and more at QAnon propaganda on Twitter, I started to see lots of elements of the occult and mysticism and spirituality blended together, seemingly in some cases in a seemingly deliberate or orchestrated style. And I wondered why might this be going on? Bot 2021 provides a partial answer to this question in that he writes in a review of far-right ideologies and fascism that white extinction and white replacement narratives are evoked by metaphysical themes that are deployed in contemporary fascism. And these include occultist ideas of nature and vitalism and ideas about cosmic destiny. So this imagery of the occult, of metaphysics, of spirituality, puts people who are susceptible to white extinction and white replacement narratives in a fascist mindset, according to Bot. And interestingly, the fascist I am theosophy cult overlaps with QAnon considerably in ways that I will share in a bit. On the right, you see the founder of theosophy and the occult, who very much influenced Heinrich Himmler of the Nazi party in his beliefs. So now, finally, a couple more things I want to tell you about some influencers in the QAnon backstory. If you have watched any of the documentaries on QAnon, for example, on Vice or the HBO 6-part miniseries, you'll probably recognize some of the figures on the screen. For example, we have up here in the left corner, Robert David Steele, who is a former intelligence officer who has very prominently advocated QAnon narratives and ideas about the Great Reset. He has been on RT Media. He famously went on Alex Jones and claimed that there were child sex colonies on Mars, prompting a response by NASA that no such things exist. Also, we can see Jim Watkins, the owner of 8chan and 8kun, and his son, Ron Watkins, who in the 6th part of the HBO docuseries, not to be a spoiler, but it was all over the news, seemingly revealed that he played a part in the actual Q posts, potentially even being Q at that time, recognizing that many other individuals over time have likely been involved in promoting that so-called LARP. We also have individuals like here and Lisa Clapier, two individuals who are affiliated.
Yeah, how much of a pity is it that you have to redact certain people's faces and beep their names because they'll try to strike you when you know, I mean, they were involved. So I mean, the one redacted one I believe that she beeps out is probably Thomas Schoenberger, I would have to guess.
Or have ties to the I Am cult. We also have YouTuber Tracy Beans, who is an early promoter of the ideas, and who's an associate of through a company called Shadowbox, a reputation management firm. And there was a high-level meeting among Republican operatives involving those two. And over in the left corner, Jason Sullivan, who was a Republican operative who worked for Roger Stone and ran the Power 10 botnet, which for approximately 2 years promoted Republican propaganda on Twitter in violation of Twitter's policies. So having given a bit of, highlighted a few participants behind the scenes recognized in journalistic articles as participants in somehow promoting QAnon, we can also consider one final element of this story, which relates to live action role play or LARPing and alternative reality games. So in cosplay and popular culture, there are elements and folks who enjoy just playing out in real life a character. And this is sometimes associated with trolling. This has become a subculture in a way that has promoted some of the far right and alt-right ideologies. As also another element of QAnon relates to alternative reality games. A number of individuals have noticed similarities between QAnon and immersive game experiences that were deliberately created to evoke a sense of alternative reality. There is one particularly called Cicada 3301, which may have even been a recruitment tool for highly intelligent people to work on. Well, we don't know. We only have some partial answers to that. And numerous journalistic articles have identified a connection between shepherding or promotion of the puzzles and QAnon. So to hear more about that, let's consider the following clip.
In many ways, the connections Jim identifies echo the madness of the QAnon network maps. There are disaffected spies, there's Julian Assange, famous filmmakers, technologists and LARPers, and even secret societies and cults. But there are also links to internet mysteries like Cicada, and ideologies that link back to the libertarian philosophies expressed by the cypherpunks who brought us Bitcoin. Most concerning are connections to a possible real-life occult movement that was the offshoot of the theosophy theory that influenced Heinrich Himmler and the Nazis. It is another rabbit hole.
Cicada was a really interesting, legitimate internet puzzle game that a lot of people played because it involved many cool techniques, cryptography and steganography and cryptocurrency and all this really interesting stuff packaged into an investigation that you needed to do. And you had to be really smart and really good in order to even come close to it. And that was one of the appeals. So it turns out there's a guy named Thomas Schoenberger. He saw the Cicada game as an opportunity to radicalize smart people. And he ended up creating puzzles and calling it Cicada, even though he was not the creator of it.
To this day, no one seems quite sure who the creator of Cicada was. We haven't been able to confirm Thomas Schoenberger's involvement in either Cicada or QAnon.
He's currently thought of as the guru behind Cicada 3301. Cicada was this game that Thomas Schoenberger, basically the term is game jacked from the originators, and is still running it to some extent. In the beginning, it was very much about cryptography and technology and espionage and cool and interesting topics, but in no way political, in no way harmful. What happened when Thomas got on board is that suddenly the themes turned very dark. They turned into artifacts and symbology from the occult, even Nazi symbology. One of the biggest prizes was the Spear of Destiny. It's a Christian symbol, but also used heavily by Hitler and the Nazis.
In many ways, the connection.
We began this investigation to create order from the chaotic world of Q.
The story of Q has evolved one bizarre and outrageous headline at a time over the last few years. And when you consider any of the events or connections we discuss in isolation, they appear random and chaotic. That's what's made Q so hard to understand. But when you look at it from the right perspective, it all starts to make sense, and we see what a single headline cannot.
In examining each of our theories, we've come to the conclusion that they're not mutually.
Ow! What is up? I am way behind. The last thing I was seeing was something about QAnon.
Yeah. So before we go there, I just want to share another little clip because we're talking about, Thomas Schoenberger and how he, claims to be the mastermind of Cicada, basically. And, others obviously claim he hijacked the puzzle and so on and so forth. So we all know or we're familiar with Cicada and the Cicada puzzle. And the Cicada puzzles, no doubt, were very complex, very well thought out and put together things. So for an example of Thomas Schoenberger's type of a puzzle and or what his, his way of doing things, just to show that it's nowhere near the level of Cicada, I want to play this clip of Thomas Schoenberger promoting one of his puzzles prior to the whole Cicada thing. And you'll see what the difference is between the promotion of Q and the Q stuff and this Thomas Schoenberger promotion here. So let's take a quick look at this. It's not very long, but this is a promotion of one of Thomas Schoenberger's so-called puzzles, where if you solve the puzzle and found the clues, you would also, you know, get some prizes. Just get prizes.
Welcome to the most unusual YouTube channel on the internet. This is the official Thomas Schoenberger channel. This is Clara St Germain, the UK promotional director for award-winning composer Thomas Schoenberger. There are currently 84 videos on this channel featuring composer Thomas Schoenberger's amazing compositions. But what will really fascinate you is that there are hidden symbols, clues and hints embedded in the music and images of these videos. Combined, they create a treasure map. The person who can figure out the hidden code and break it successfully will receive a treasure worth over $100,000. Those of you who purchase his music will receive additional clues. Mr. Schoenberger has studied plasma physics, composition, history, cryptograms and ancient languages, and taken his vast knowledge of history's mysteries to create the first virtual treasure map on YouTube. Thomas's channel has already experienced over 13 million views, and yes, many people are viewing the videos so they can figure out the message and decipher the treasure map. Clues are included in the artwork featured in this channel. And the first clue is located in the video Annunciation, now played live in the Botticelli room of the Uffizi Museum in Florence, Italy. So we welcome all code breakers, mathematicians, theoretical scientists, puzzle experts and treasure hunters to one of YouTube's most interesting channels. Subscribers to the Schoenberger music channel will receive responses to their answers, and purchasers of Thomas's music will receive additional clues. You have until June the 1st, 2014 to figure out the hidden treasure map and win the prize. Good luck all.
So you have till June 1st, you know, to figure it out, which is his birthday June 1st,
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had till his birthday to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, seriously, how cheesy and lame was that in comparison to the actual cicada shit, you know?
Yeah, and not only that, I got a question for that person. If he is such a renowned, reward-winning composer, then why the fuck haven't I heard of him until David Schurter? And him, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm big into music, bro.
Well, you just haven't been into the Schoenberger genre or the Schoenberger effect yet. That's why. So.
Well, whatever.
So the reward there that was supposedly worth $100,000, if I'm correct, led back to the so-called floorboard out of Mozart's house, which, from what we were told by, I guess you would call him a curator of the Mozart house, Thomas was supposedly supposed to purchase this board. Then ended up never paying for the board or whatever, you know. And it kind of reminds me of when they mysteriously got who was it, Akon, to do a couple videos about their new cicada puzzle, you know, and finding treasures and so on.
Yeah, it just sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me.
Right, exactly. So you said you had something you want to say about the whole QAnon thing?
Yeah, I mean, well, where I was at, because, you know, I told you all I saw was spinning, so I was way behind in the live. I don't know if you knew that or not. So, hold on, wait, before I do that, let me show y'all my ride. How y'all like my ride?
Yeah, hey, I have one just like that, a red one in my garage.
Yeah, well, hold on, I gotta sit back down. Hold on. Sorry, it just takes me a minute to do it. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so about the whole QAnon thing, the whole thing I never understood about that is that they said that it was for Trump to abolish like satanic shit and all this other shit. How can he do that when he's too busy grabbing pussies?
The whole Q thing, man. I didn't follow that. I didn't
Me
get
neither.
into it. I didn't believe it. I know there was a lot of there were a lot of Q-tards out there, as they call them, and there still probably are. Hopefully not as many as there was back then, But I just never got into that Q shit. So, but anyway, yeah. Hopefully you get feeling better pretty soon. I know that ain't no fun. Um, my back occasionally blows out, same type of thing, the sciatica type shit. And yeah, I usually spend about 5 days or so with one of them walkers in order to get around because I can't even walk under my own strength. It sucks.
Yeah, feel that, dude. I can't do nothing without my arms and legs.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely sucks. Well, let's fire up Dilly's thing and we'll listen to the rest of it, and then maybe we'll move into a little bit of fucking Charter
Oh
info.
God, I got some shit to say about his stupid ass.
All right, well, let's finish up Professor Dilly's thing from a few days ago.
Let's do it.
We do not believe Q is an individual, but rather a network of individuals, each playing their role, from the general to the anons, the bakers, the artists, and even the critics, which have all enabled Q to leap from the message board into the streets.
We believe the account has changed hands over time, originating in 2017. We think Q was launched as a pro-Trump LARP designed by the Cicadas under Thomas's supervision on 4chan. Shortly after, Tracy Beans and his Patriot Soapbox crew expanded it into a lucrative grift that thrived on 8chan under the Watkins supervision and encouragement.
Which only leaves our final theory, the White House insider, and whether or not you believe that General Flynn was involved in designing Q. Since taking the oath, he's made it really difficult to believe that he and those close to him are not currently playing an active role in Q and organizing the Anon.
I appreciate
So
that,
now
Jack.
that we have some basics and even some advanced topics around QAnon under our belts, I wanted to tell you in the last 10 minutes or so about studies of Twitter networks of QAnon influencers that have recently been published in Frontiers in Communication. So to hear more about the details, please visit the paper, which should be fully online in just a couple days. So the questions that motivated this research were, to what extent was QAnon a strictly grassroots socio-political movement? Or did it have some boosting, artificial boosting? Also, how much network influence did QAnon linked influencers on Twitter have? Who did they link to? What kinds of topics and interests did those accounts express? To what extent does network traffic reveal links between QAnon and religious themes, spiritual and occult themes, or LARPs and ARGs? And what can Twitter data tell us about how QAnon disinformation became so widespread? A backdrop for these studies relates to digital astroturfing. There's something called political astroturfing from the fake grass. You can see in the picture there. This relates to a centrally coordinated disinformation campaign in which participants pretend to be ordinary citizens acting independently, as in grassroots campaigns. So grassroots, real grass, astroturf, fake grass. Digital astroturfing is a newer form of political astroturfing, one that is more effective in spreading disinformation. So although astroturfing's been around for a long time, the newer digital form is most dangerous. Coordinated group activity is a robust hallmark of digital astroturfing, according to recent research, which has brought out more the issue of human actors behind certain LARP accounts, as opposed to merely bot networks. So let me tell you about the first of 5 studies that are described in the paper. I'm going to leave the technical details aside for the most part, which you can find in the paper. In the first study, The goal was to investigate Twitter account properties and networks of QAnon influencers broadly defined. So in this data set, 128 accounts were hand selected for any of the following, either canonical QAnon hashtags and symbols, magical themes or occult themes, interacting with one. There was a lot of that going on. For example, the Snow White 7am account of Lisa Clapier in the lower right, or account association with a person known or suspected to have furthered or promoted QAnon. So to the extent that journalistic sources and social media have identified some of the people behind these accounts, these accounts were investigated to see, kind of as a historical record, what kinds of social media engagements were they demonstrating. Post hoc, 15 accounts were selected as primary accounts of a special interest, and of which 5 were the individuals shown on the screen below. The first thing I want to tell you about is some initial evidence from the study of artificial account boosting or astroturfing. This figure shows you a plot of these 128 accounts, approximately, with the days since account creation date on the x-axis. And then on the y-axis, we have the number of followers on a logarithmic scale, 6,000, 60,000, 600,000, and so forth. So what we can see in this log linear plot, we have the line of best fit for that entire data set, and it's clearly there's a significant correlation, significant relationship between the number of an account's followers and that account age overall. But there's something remarkable here. Notice that there are these dashed lines which reflect accounts that were created less than 3 years old for the orange line, or less than a year and a half ago for the gray line. And both of those have a much steeper slope. And that is reflecting the fact that accounts that are less than 3 years old gain followers significantly faster than those that were greater than 3 years old. It's kind of interesting that the QAnon socio-political conspiracy movement was approximately 3 years old at the time of this data collection. So the fact that new accounts are so rapidly gaining followers is indicative of account coordination and provides some initial evidence of astroturfing. I want to also point out some of the remarkable accounts. Here's QAnon 76, which had almost 600,000 followers, and then 2 of the younger accounts, E the Friend, a very prominent account that rapidly gained followers, and Judith Rose 91, 2 very high-profile pro-QAnon accounts that were highly boosted. And here is a network of the 15 primary accounts of interest. And what we can see is a lot of traffic going among these accounts. So over here, we can see that the account for Jim Watkins was interacting quite a bit with E the Friend, as well as an account that at the time I collected the data was not known to me, but it was later revealed that that is a far-right neo-Nazi individual named Mike Panovich, who also has a YouTube channel of the same name. Leno Clay, he goes by Enoch. So he was interacting, Watkins was interacting with him, Jason Sullivan was interacting with E the Friend and Jim Watkins, and we have some other high-profile individuals also communicating with these notable influencers. Study 2 was a larger sample of Twitter accounts, and these were individuals that had a strong online presence. Also in the sample were hand-selected accounts promoting New Age themes or esoteric occult type themes, as well as some QAnon insiders who may not have a strong online presence but had Twitter accounts. So the goal was to determine to what extent do the accounts blend themes. If there was account coordination, then we should see systematic juxtaposition of accounts that are exhibiting certain kinds of political themes. And this was done using a keyword analysis of the text in the profile to look for conservative keywords, QAnon keywords, or New Age keywords to determine the extent to which there was mixing within and across accounts, and to see if there was further evidence of astroturfing in this larger sample. NodeXL Pro was used to download Twitter data, and this was collected in late October 2020. So what we can see here is a graph of these 1,028 accounts, and any account that has a designation of Q indicates that there was a QAnon themed word in the profile of the account. For example, WWG1WGA, Storm, and so forth. N relates to accounts that show a New Age or occult themed word. You can see that a number of accounts show blending of themes. C indicates a conservative keyword like MAGA or some religious words. And we can see a lot of blending of these themes. Another analysis focused on a subset of accounts that considerably interacted with one another. And without going into details, this was showing clear account coordination where the natural patterns of account behaviors do not apply. For example, we would expect that that older accounts would have more followers, but some of the youngest accounts had the most followers. So this is showing very heavy coordination, lots and lots of links among the accounts in this subnetwork that were coordinating and talking about various things related to QAnon and media content. Studies 3 and 4 elaborated on this work, where study 3 focused particularly on an influencer account that was very prominently pro-QAnon, very visible, went by the appellation Wyatt. It tweeted a lot of anti-Semitic content, as well as some pro-Hitler, pro-Satan type messages. It would get knocked down by Twitter and come back. I caught it when it was using a handle called CEO of Gen Z. And the goal with this third study was to establish that accounts promoting and interacting with this pro-QAnon anti-Semitic account were highly networked to each other and also promoted QAnon. That was shown in study 3. I'm going to just leave that for you as a teaser. But the study 3 then was the basis for study 4, having established that CEO of Gen Z was had followers that were interacting with one another and themselves promoting QAnon, also closely linked to spirituality and ARG networks. Study 4 examined the relation of CEO of Gen Z to a wider set of accounts, and this was just after January 6th. This included other pro-QAnon accounts and ARG-themed accounts. And these are the results of that study. We can see, interestingly, the account that was most influential in the network, as based on a metric called eigenvector centrality, was Snow White 7IM, which was Lisa Clapier's account. Also, Faisal Lazarus was the handle being used at that time by. Both of these accounts were quite prominent in the network, and we can see that CEO of Gen Z had a lot of connections to many of these accounts, some of which were interacting with Faisal Lazarus, some of which were interacting with Snow White 7IM, many of which were coming from spirituality themed accounts and networks, as well as ARG themed accounts. We even have some Russian accounts that were caught here in the mix, and showing some demonstrations there of connectivity. So the takeaway from these studies is that, first of all, QAnon was not a strictly grassroots socio-political movement. Instead, it was boosted on Twitter through digital astroturfing. That goes against the claims of some journalists at the time. This is the first data set to show that existence of digital astroturfing for QAnon propaganda on Twitter. Also, network traffic revealed interactions among accounts showing QAnon themes, as well as religious and conservative themes, spiritual and occult themes, LARPs and ARGs, and even Russian language and media. On that point, there was a prominent account called Vincent Crypt 46, which was in some of the analyses the most influential account in the network samples. That account accidentally tweeted out the Russian word fire one day, apparently seeming to want to communicate in a fire emoji. Other accounts then rapidly came back in. One even posted a translation of an English news clip in Russian showing the word fire. trying to give a hint, apparently, to Vincent Crypt 46 that he might have been in Russian keyboard mode. And finally, a takeaway is that an influential anti-Semitic pro-QAnon account, CEO of Gen Z, was heavily retweeted and influential within networks of spirituality and ARG-themed accounts. This is only one example of intersections between QAnon and the far right in Twitter data. Also, the other example I mentioned was the prominence of the Eleno Klee account for white nationalist Mike Pinovich. And that is going to be about the conclusion of my talk. What this shows and the takeaways are, first of all, clear evidence of digital astroturfing of QAnon propaganda on Twitter. We can also consider that QAnon was furthered by collaborations among multiple individuals and entities. These likely included Russia, corporate entities, other nation state actors. I was watching QAnon Brazil shoot up and QAnon UAE and Saudi Arabia. Also the actions of cyber mercenaries, possibly even. And finally, we have to be aware of the complexity of these media and information environments, because effective handling by societies of disinformation and radicalization tactics does require an awareness of complex and emerging technological and narrative landscapes, and that include digital soldiers and cyber warriors, digital mercenaries, and digital influence warfare campaigns. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge individuals that have contributed to this research and the presentation. Very grateful for all of the support. And I'm very happy to take questions. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Dilley. We have a couple of questions in the Q&A, and I'll go ahead and read the first one and the second one. Please, everybody, feel free to put your question either in the Q&A or in the chat. So the first question. Conservative and New Age are not terms I generally associate with one another. What accounts for the appeal of blending philosophies that would usually be at odds with one another?
Yes, yes. You could read her lips. Every time it beeped, she was hiding the name Thomas Schoenberger. I'll fucking say it.
I think that we can consider the historical backdrop of the development of psychographic profiling, which was weaponized and deployed at mass scale in the US election. So companies like Cambridge Analytica have now many competitors. And these companies are also trying to figure out people's individual psychologies and target messages to them. So some people may be drawn to themes around religious conservatism and evangelical lines of thought. Other people are drawn to wellness, spirituality, maybe even
leave us clowns out of it.
like the occult. And the most successful campaigns will find ways to shift people's thoughts in the direction of the preferred narratives, regardless of their individual psychologies.
Thank you. The second question comes from John Gray. Thanks for this informative lecture. I wanted to ask you how you dealt with the presence of bot accounts on Twitter. Do the networks of accounts you examined include or exclude accounts that are likely to be bots rather than humans? And generally, how are you thinking about the role of bots in this movement?
Yeah, I think that's an important question. The accounts were hand selected based on their behaviors. The prominent QAnon accounts are almost surely managed. Were almost surely managed by humans due to the their prominence, their ability to adapt to new narratives that were coming out from current events and so forth. But bots are surely part of the landscape, and the way in which they boosted QAnon will only be clearer as we proceed to uncover the tracks of nefarious actors. So I don't have a really good answer for you, but certainly bots were probably part of the dynamics but accounts were selected that had the appearance of human behaviors.
Outstanding. Thanks. Please, if anybody else has another question, drop it in the chat or the Q&A. While we're waiting for the next question, I'll ask a question. I'm curious if you distinguish, for instance, between political astroturfing and digital astroturfing, right? Noting that political astroturfing is something that has been around for a while. And I'm kind of curious if in your research, if you are finding dynamics or strategies or whatever that are perhaps novel and are a function of the technological platforms that people are using to kind of boost signal and amplify some of these things. Are you seeing anything that's like brand new?
I think this is an excellent question, and one of the things that seems to have been in the mix that is novel relates to the role of startup YouTubers or startup influencers on the internet, which is a new phenomenon we haven't seen before. So it appears that people like and Robert David Steele were instrumental in working with those YouTubers, influencing them, maybe motivating them through, if you put our content on, if you put our narrative on, if you allow our people to come on your show and talk about QAnon related narratives, we will incentivize you by giving you likes and follows and subscribes, and we'll promote you. So this is something that was never possible before, and it does seem to have been an important part of how QAnon gathered that critical mass to really take off in the popular ethos.
So something like a symbiotic relationship between each one's getting boosted in its own way by the other, right? That's interesting.
Indeed, yeah. So some of the YouTube channels that had high numbers of followers, like the Tracy Beans channel that already focused on conspiratorial content, those types of outlets were prized. Apparently by the early seeders of this disinformation, and incentives were provided for them to get the message out.
Fantastic. That's really interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Dilley, for your presentation and for answering
My pleasure.
the questions. I'm really grateful to have you be a part of the University Interdisciplinary Colloquium this year. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we hope that you'll have this time available in a couple of weeks, and you'll be back with us to hear Dr. Peters. Take care and have a great week, everybody.
Yeah, so like I said, that actually was aired, I believe on the 8th of July, so about 4 days ago. And just because this is kind of a documenting stream, putting some facts out and so on and so forth, I talked about when Ivana finally cut ties with Thomas and Lisa Clapton. And I said, Lisa, I'm going to mute you. So there's a lot of garbly noise. Anyway, I said that Lisa Clapton.
Good? Is everything good?
Yeah. There's just a lot of garbly noise coming from your end for some
Probably
reason.
because I'm out in the public.
Yeah. So I was muting out while I was talking, and I'm going to bring this email up that I was talking about, because y'all know I always bring the goods and show the evidence. So I'm going to bring it up, and I'll let you guys take a look at this email where she basically says her and Ivana are going to be friends, whether I like it or not. So here we go. Let's take a look at this. Anyway, so this email was sent out to me.
You want me to read it? Just
But
read it?
hang on a minute. But it was also sent to Thomas Schoenberger, Mind Expired, Mindy Waite, and Jared Fair, as well as myself. But the email was, in fact, directed to me. So I'm going to bring it up on screen, and Pavana's going to read it to you. Okay, let me find it here. Hang on. There we go. Let me make sure it's on my screen. It should be. Yep, there we go.
This is from Lisa Clapier to Jesse after I had my breakdown. Dear Jesse, we have never been properly introduced. Firstly, thank you for loving my sister. I know you are following your primal instinct. I know you are not a Beth, Arturo, DeFango, Bobby, et al. Groupie. Those above dragged me into all of this. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. Those above dragged me into all of this. I also distanced myself from the puzzle community the same time Pavana did. That's bullshit too.
Yeah, I know.
What the fuck? I do and will continue to have Pavana's back, liar. Whether you like it or not, I like her. Always will. She is a brilliant artist and her intelligence inspires me. Love bomb. So I do not understand why this has escalated to the point we have children on watch. It is this concerning the ripple effect happening on innocence. I gift everything I do to humanity free. My life is a calling. I simply take day by day to answer, how can I serve, give, share, care? My social justice experience is very public with highly credible partners. Trying to smear me as something I am not simply revealed we were over target a professional hit team. We were able to identify them immediately. Stand-down orders were given. An official diplomatic report was filed with threat of life, cyber stalking, and more against the above four. Really? Now she sounds like Thomas. I know you as my sister's heart who adores you. I know what you mean to her because she bubbles about you. I know she is safe with you. You are her home. And I
Wait a minute.
yearn my sister be safe and happy.
So she says, I know you as my sister's heart who adores you. Pavana adores me. I know what you mean to her because she bubbles about you. I know she's safe with you. So that blows Thomas and Denise and Blazing Scars theory that you wanted to divorce me and you were looking for someone else because you and her were having conversations. And here she, states that, you talked about me and you bubbled about me, as she puts it. But
Okay.
go ahead.
Anyway, thank you, Jesse. Please know if you want to clarify anything, I am here. And especially for loving my sister. She's not my freaking sister. Her Yunnan sisters are all, there's none, are all singing for her wellness and happiness too. Those of us who love and adore one another never fell out. I don't have any advice other than follow your heart. We have children watching. I will now remain in simply to do what I can to be responsible. We are the change. I, for one, am very humbled. The future is so hopeful. Fighting is taking our time away from what we have already been gifted to do, be. I can't speak for Thomas, but he is protective like you. It is not a bad trait, gentlemen. Thank you for honoring and protecting the women. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jesse. Sophia.
You got a lot of shit, guys. You can't make this shit up. So, yeah, this email was sent to me after Pavana cut all ties and communications with Thomas and Lisa Clapier and the rest of them, which was the best thing she ever done, obviously, was to cut all ties with these people and get the fuck away from their ridiculousness. But for those who might not be aware, Lisa Clapier was known as Sister Sophia, and she also was Snow White, 7 a.m. Jesus Christ, Unanimous.
Yeah.
She had all kinds of alts, and she's still floating around out here somewhere. And this is another person who literally is a fraudster and a criminal. She was put in prison for a time for fraud, like some kind of weird check fraud shit. And at one point, one of her daughters did a video, and I didn't talk for it, but her daughter talked about how her mother abandoned her and her siblings to go out on this fucking Occupy movement and like the Unity for Change type shit. She just abandoned her entire family and everything for all this crazy bullshit, which says a lot by itself. And she talks about how her mom got incarcerated and put into prison, I believe, possibly more than once. And if you research this lady, she actually was drunk driving at one point and ran over a California Highway Patrol worker and killed the guy. And it's kind of like she didn't seem to do much time for anything that she did, which is what I shared earlier, the little podcast about the legal system, how they slap certain people on the wrist and all that. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, it's true. A lot of people don't face justice for the things that they do. And this woman, as I said, was also a so-called licensed awakening coach. And there was actually like a webpage where you could go and look at the stuff, and it was very revealing. The things that were on the page, they talked about harsh awakenings and all the different little things that they would do in order to supposedly take you through your awakening. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. I don't know if I have that handy anywhere, but I'm gonna look real quick and just see if I can find it.
I got something. I'm kind of glad Sherry's in the chat because she can collaborate on this. Remember that time, Sherry, whenever Schurter and Thomas were actually working together and not against each other? And then like a week after that, they were back fighting again. But to put that, we were all in the chat together whenever David said something about, this was before we talked and all this other shit, Jesse. So I know everything that the man said ain't fucking true about you, but
right.
Before that, he said that Thomas said that you used to beat the shit out of Pavana and that Pavana hated you and that she was trying to get to Thomas to get away from you.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
So that chick was a part of Thomas's group. Well, if that's all the truth, then that just trumped everything that they both has ever said. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And obviously Pavana's sitting right here, and she can herself say that, hey, none of that shit was true. That's the narrative they're still running with. Blazing Scar
which I already have a million times.
Yeah, Blazing Scar recently again
that just trumps everything.
Yeah, claimed that Pavana was trying to divorce me, is what Blazing Scar said again recently. And it's like, these people, I've said it a million times, none of them really know who any of us truly are or what we do, what we're about. They just throw these narratives out there. So I'm going to bring up this info on this Lisa Clapier. This is her awakening coach page, by the way. And I'm going to scroll through it slowly. Actually, I'm going to make it full screen so that people can read it. I'm going to remove the chat for a moment off screen. And we've shown this before, but I think it was on my channels that got taken down. So you can clearly see at the top, Awakening Coaching, and it's http awakeningcoaching.com, and it says meet Lisa Clapier as a coach. and then it gives you a link to a YouTube page. And I'm not going to bother to read all this out. I mean, it would kind of be crazy, but I'm just going to kind of slowly scroll through it because they have bullet points and so forth about what they're going to talk about. And I'll scroll through it so that if you guys want to go through later and pause it and read it in its entirety, you'll be able to do so. But yeah, if this doesn't yell fucking cult type shit to any of you, nothing will.
Dude,
Nothing.
remember I told you what I used to be a part of?
Yeah.
Everything about this screams cult.
Yeah. So the whole breakdown of everything was Pavana ran into Schoenberger via the puzzles and shit in June of 2017. And Thomas then, got some pertinent information from Pavana right from the get-go. And then Thomas handed her off more or less to the crazy woman, Lisa Clappier, the awakening coach. And that is when all the Mother Mary crazy talk came in, which not only Lisa Clappier talked about it, but Thomas joined in on that shit, pushing Pavana out of reality, let's just say. And yeah, so there was a lot to it, but this is their page for the awakening coaches.
Yeah, like we train our awakening coaches. That just sounds like some fucking cult shit to me, bro.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like already our mission, our goals, our values, da 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 da. That all sounds like something that fucking blindness quoted to me way back in the day.
Yeah. Look, they're helping them up the rocks.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, like I said, I'm just going to scroll through this. It's a little bit long, but I'm going to scroll through it. So, if people want to go and actually read it, they can go back and pause it at a later time and read it word for word. But the bullet points in here say it all. And unfortunately, like I said, I'm pretty sure that this Lisa Clappier person is still out there somewhere under a different name now. And I mean, she's another one who actually tried to start her own crypto, did she not, Pavana?
Oh, Lisa?
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, it was called
Yes. So she tried to start a crypto while she was involved with Thomas back then, but before the Cicada token or any of that shit came about. Does it start with an E?
No, beautiful something, beautiful exchange.
Beautiful exchange, BE. That was going to be her cryptocurrency that she was starting supposedly back in the day. And just imagine that they're trying to start a cryptocurrency, and she was at the time involved heavily with Thomas Schoenberger, who now has their Cicada token. So yeah, the whole cryptocurrency thing has been a theme for a long time. But her crypto, I don't believe amounted to anything just like the Cicada token, as far as I know. Last time I checked, to still, amounted to nothing basically. But yeah, you can't make this shit up, guys. You cannot make this shit up.
Client
Look at that. The inspired certainty which an awakening coach holds is the certainty of who the client really is, deeper than the stories held in the mind. Wow. Absolute presence.
Right, let's shut the fuck up, man. Dude, I swear to God, that does sound like some shit that he would say. Except for he would say it a little bit differently, but you know what I mean. It's right on point, man.
Oh, here comes a good one, guys, right here. Radical awakening. Can you even imagine? An awakening coach uses the tools of radical awakening to shift the client out of the web of thoughts, ideas, and beliefs to bring totally present both internally and externally. When we are absolutely present externally, then we hear sounds more vividly, colors become brighter. We can really pay attention to another human being and feel who that human being really is looking back at us. Being present internally means that we recognize who we truly are, deeper than any thoughts or feelings. When we pay attention to who is really aware of this moment, we discover that it's more of a presence than a thing. I mean, this shit is crazy. Radical awakening means not a relative awakening, but a complete and dramatic shift from preoccupation, thinking, being caught in fear, desire, and anticipation to being right here in this now moment. Releasing. Wow.
So all I heard from there was, we're gonna drop some stuff in your drink and you not gonna think.
Yes. You've been fucking roofied.
Exactly. That's all I heard from that. I'm sorry. It sounded like an acid trip.
Dude, like this shit.
I feel so much more better. It sounded like an acid trip. Watch. I could feel so much more better. Oh my God, I'm sorry I had to say it. Holy shit.
It's just crazy, dude. It gets so bad, dude. I literally, I just got sick of even hearing the word awakening back in that time period, you know.
Midwiffing, the unique
midwife, midwife.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was like, wait, what? What the fuck does that even mean?
Yes. Well, she did try to midwife Pavana because, you know, Pavana had talked to her about having some, you know, abdominal pains at one time. And this crazy lady said, oh, you know, what it is, you're feeling labor from birthing your new self, is what she told her. Yeah, from awakening. You're birthing your new self, which is why I say all of the shit was implanted in Pavana's head when she had a breakdown, because the date of September the 8th was put into her head by this Lisa Clapier lady as the birth date of Mother Mary, and Pavana's breakdown happened on that date, September the 8th. And this woman told Pavana she was feeling birthing pains of rebirthing her new self. And when Pavana's breakdown happened, the day it happened, Pavana literally told me she had died that night and was not the same person anymore.
Well, I remember the ambulance driver asked me when my birthday was.
Yeah.
And I told him today.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You told me literally, you know, I died last night and I'm my new self. I'm never going to be the same person again. And Yeah, it was fucking freaky, dude. And that's why I say it was definitely brainwashing, and some to some extent a type of mind control. It really was.
So, Pavana, can I ask you a question? How did you come all the way down south and steal my stash that night, man? Because that's the only explanation I got.
He's saying you stole his stash and got high that night.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to make light at the fucked up situation, man.
There you go, guys. That's the awakening coach shit right there. Just so we're documenting that shit. Just so we're documenting that shit.
That is 150,000% cult shit, man.
Yeah.
You can look up my old cult. It tells you how much of a cult it really was. So I tell you that was a fucking cult, man.
Yeah, some creepy shit, to say the least. Oh, damn it. Hang on, let me get us back on stage here. There we go.
What is that?
Yeah, it was baiting. It was their way of sucking her in. And like I said, it wasn't all Lisa Clapier, because Thomas led Pavana to Lisa Clapier and handed her off to Lisa Clapier, basically, and then tried to get Pavana to send other people to Lisa Clapier. And in the emails between this Lisa, Pistis Sophia, and Pavana, Thomas was partaking in the communications with Pavana, carrying on Lisa Clapier's ridiculous cult bullshit that she was telling Pavana. So, like I said, Thomas can talk all the shit he wants, and he can make all the claims that people are stalking and defaming him, and he's going to take everybody, take us all down and take us to court, and we're going to get thrown in prison. But in reality, Thomas, the one person that's going to fucking stop you from this, the one person, if anybody's able to stop you, is going to be me, because I have all of this evidence and shit, and it's stored in several different safe spaces. Just like when you guys struck my channels down, and one of your clowns, sorry about the clown reference, but one of your mindless minions not long ago said, "Oh yeah, Jesse can't prove that. He don't have that. His channels were taken down." But I showed y'all on a hard drive. I have every one of those fucking live streams saved, every one of them. And so yeah, everything can still be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. But anyway, moving on, we have Mr. Schneider here, who's got him a pretty new little bow tie on. And this was actually done a few days back on July the 9th. And it's a fairly short one. I want to say this one was probably only about a half hour, maybe. Yeah, 34 minutes. And then he did one more the next day on the 10th, which also was a short one, only about 25 minutes long. So we'll blow through these real quick as well. That way everybody can hear the silliness. And mainly it's basically, these are grifting streams for David, because now the new grift is that the one little dog that somebody supposedly went to his house and poisoned is no longer doing well, and he needs to put the dog down, but he don't have no money. But then in the next stream, he talks about how he spent $25 on antibiotics to try to bring the dog back to health again. So let's just hear what he had.
Here's the deal with his whole poison. Before we go on,
I'm a little bit late.
Shut up. I was gonna tell you the whole thing about his whole poison thing is Sherilyn would tell you, man, his dogs are really, really, really old. They're like getting to the point to where you know they're gonna die any day. That's the reason why they're fucking sick, not because somebody poisoned them. That's all I'm gonna say about that. What happened?
It's about 12:30 in the afternoon. But I had things that I've had to deal with. Most likely, if I can raise the money, I'm going to have to put my little one down, who they poisoned a month ago. She's never really come back from it, despite the K1 vitamins and all of that. She never came back. And
Is it me or is my side messing up?
No, I guess I was muted, so I was silent.
Oh, okay.
So, Aiken, I was saying it's weird that you bring this up, that Lisa Clapier was on a panel in the Young Turks, because I've interviewed with the Young Turks probably about 3 different times on some political issues and also political corruption and about our ex-mayor, you know, the God, what was he? Department of Transportation Secretary, the guy who's going to try to run for president in 2028, Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, I interviewed a few times with him about a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of weird that she was on the Young Turks. If you have a link to that, I wouldn't mind watching it. I do follow the Young Turks a little bit. But go ahead, David.
so most likely, it's just a fact of life. You know? And so,
So Affable Zombie, if you have to ask who Lisa Clapier is in all this, after what I just said and what I just showed, I have to assume that you're not the actual Affable Zombie, because you would in fact know that. She's a so-called licensed awakening coach who Thomas Schoenberger handed Pavana off to back in 2017. She was one of them that pumped a bunch of garbage into Pavana's head and played a large role in Pavana's breakdown. That's a brief synopsis.
I'm taking a break from opening their fucking emails. I know that probably kills the entertainment factor, but they send me the dumbest shit. And it's just meant to be aggravating. And so the only way to win with that is to not bother. I was barely reading them anyway when I was taking screenshots, but you can't help but read some of the stuff, and I am just through with it. Thomas throws out, I basically figured that their whole line of defense now is they're so idiotic and stupid that they couldn't possibly be involved with the neo-Nazi child trafficking pedophile ring because they're just so stupid. I swear to God, that has to be the defense that they're thinking they're going to use. I mean, it's not like Johnny Depp doesn't send all these threats and then says, well, I'm crazy, so I'm untouchable, blah, 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 you know? And it gets to be just exasperating. I don't care. Let alone that idiotic Pootie Twang thing, making videos with me and someone I don't even know who that is, and I guess I'm supposed to be upset. You know, it's half the time they talk about shit, and Thomas is always bringing up people I have no idea who they are, you know, and I think that craziness and hey Susan, I think that craziness and idiocracy is the whole point of the game. And so I just,
Who's going to talk about
I'll
crazy?
take screenshots to show that they're sending me emails because fuck they have. Johnny Depp, I just saw, has sent me several emails. Fuck, I don't give a shit. You know? I don't give a shit. And so I'm not from Kentucky. I'm not in Kentucky. Thank you. I just did this yesterday. Just made this yesterday. I had some people who had given me fragments. And so I made several bow ties.
It's not even on both sides.
Finished the bag that I'm going to give to a friend of mine. I will never make another bag like this again. You know?
Fuck, you finished a bag?
And so, see.
Yeah, you actually did.
And half of the time they don't even speak English. I just erased that. I didn't even take a screenshot. Other than the profane words, I don't even have a clue what the fuck they were saying. And that's the whole thing. Thomas
I love
in the
how
past has
David
called me,
doesn't know who
let's see, a fake
YouTube
sodomite. So I'm a straight dude who has pretended to be gay for 59 years. And that makes any sense. I was married for 20 of those. So I'm Jewish, even though I've never once been. The only time I was ever in a synagogue was when I made the food for my nephew's bar mitzvah. And I was in there long enough to put food on a table.
Probably food poison for everybody.
Thank you. I like making these bow ties because, first of all, I like cotton bow.
What's that?
Hold on. What he just said trumped what he just said. He said he's not Jewish, but yet the only time he was in a synagogue is when he made his nephew's fucking bar mitzvah.
Right.
If his nephew is Jewish, that means you're fucking Jewish, you dumb motherfucker. Like, what?
At least part Jewish, right?
Yeah, like make it make sense if you're gonna fucking lie.
And he just walked in. He just walked in and dropped off all the catered food that he prepared and walked right out. Right? We're supposed
like, huh? That doesn't make any sense, bro. Like, make that make sense to me. How your nephew can be.
I'm not Jewish, but I catered the food for my nephew's bar mitzvah. That's
make sense.
That's the way he is with everything, though. He doesn't even remember what he says from one minute to the next.
See, I was going to say about that. You remember my comment I made earlier about how you can really tell David's been lying the whole time? Is that he always trumps himself on that darkness thing.
Yeah.
Because when me and Sherilyn were in there, he was a peasant in the darkness. Like, he was the lowest of the low in the darkness. But now, if you listen to him, he says he's the king. He's got a crown. He's He's got all this shit, but how can you be that if you're a fucking peasant?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. You know, how you can truly fucking literally trump his whole entire argument about you can look back at my stuff, it never changes. And I'm like, yes, it does, bro.
Yeah, all the time. He always says the story's the same. The names aren't the same, dude. You didn't even know I existed until a couple of years ago, and you claim you've been at this for what, 20 fucking years? So the story has obviously changed, and the names have obviously changed. I mean,
mine and Sherilyn's name wasn't in it at first, and now our names are all in it.
yeah. Well, neither were we. Like I said, he didn't even know we existed
Until Thomas
until Thomas, sent him all this fucking garbage, all these defaming narratives about everybody, and now we're all sewer guys all up in it. But no,
a whole fucking gang. Whenever we heard about it.
Yeah, the story has changed, David, and so have the people. Yes.
Bow ties, you can iron them. Silk bow ties start to fray soon, and so I don't like the silk bow ties, and they get wrinkled. I mean, when you tie them up in a bow, it gets wrinkled, and so I much prefer these cotton ones because, especially, I find some interesting cotton fabric I can whip out a bow tie in no time. Yesterday I whipped out 3, and then I finished this bag. I'm gonna give it to her today. This is the handle. This is this. It opens up. And then it has the zipper compartment.
Closure.
And it has 2 pockets. Babe, this bag is one that I will never make again because it's not just a bag, it's a cozy.
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass. Hey, now that you said that, he's going to recognize your name, Jackoff, and that is going to put you in his memory bank forever. Just so you know, because Jackoff, obviously that relates a lot to him. So,
very much.
Now you are now going to be put into the list, Jackoff. Just want you to know that.
Dude, why did you have to put that scary spot in the
tinfoil insulation stuff that they make? That insulates cozies.
Insulate your cozy.
Thread doesn't like to go through it, and so it just eats thread. It's taken me forever to do this bag and finish it. But yesterday I just decided I'm gonna have to raise. If I had the money today, I would put my little one down.
All you gotta do is
has never recovered from being poisoned.
You're an enemy in the end.
David, you need to get a real cozy, dude. You need to get a real cozy, like this one here. Hang on, let me show you. It has interchangeable patches on it too. It's really cool. I showed it to Baby Fest once. Look at that. It's a fucking bulletproof vest.
That is sick, homie.
And I have several patches on it that I can interchange.
And safety rule number 1, everyone. I like
that.
that.
Get you a real cozy, dude. It's a bulletproof vest. There you go.
He said cozy for your cozies.
A month later, and I did get her to eat some chicken and rice this morning. So that's, babe, she's not doing well. And that's why for the longest time I thought that I was over the hatred that I had for this group. And what I've realized of late is that couldn't be further from the truth. They say pride goeth before the fall, and I was proud of, I've released the anger and rage that I had to this group. When I was a kid, I cast it all into the dark. But that's... And my dogs are old. So the inevitable will happen. And to be quite honest,
to match the boat,
as hard as this situation is right now, I would rather I lose them than they lose me. And so, you know, but to have her put down will cost a little over $230. As fucked as that is. But it would be a little over $100 if I just had her put down and cremated. But I want the remains back. I could not imagine just dumping her off.
Yeah, he wants to season his hamburger with the remains.
With any of them. And so it's going to it's just, as you can tell, I'm kind of out of sorts.
Yeah, we know.
Trying to be there for her while she's going through all this, knowing them poisoning her is what brought all this on. I hate this fucking group of child trafficking pedophiles. They do all this criminal bullshit, and then they just think that just because they're not going to accept responsibility for the shit that they brag about doing. They brag about it. But because they aren't willing to take on responsibility or accountability, it doesn't matter, and it's meaningless. And nothing could be further from the truth. You reap what you fucking sow. It's as true now as it was when the words were spoken. And you want a quote from Jesus Christ, you fucking asswipes? Let me give you this one. Jesus Christ said, if you're coming to the altar to honor, leave your contribution at the altar. If your brother has a problem with you, leave your offering at the altar and go make amends with your brother. And let me fucking tell you, your group, I have a lot of fucking issues with. And they're gonna matter. And they're gonna count. And you can tell yourselves whatever fucking stupid shit you want to tell yourselves. But again, you better learn how to fucking live forever. Because the moment after you take your last breath, you're gonna be claimed by the fucking dark. The dark you love so much, have given your allegiances to. You know? That's protected you and guided you and helped you and, you know?
All right, that just didn't make any sense already to me, man. First off, wait a minute, hold on. You are an allegiance to the dark, Dave, is what you said so many times. So, are you telling me that we have aligned ourselves with you?
Well, yeah, he says we have all bound ourselves to him. Yes. That's what? We have all bound ourselves to Dave in the dark. You know, like the police, when they came in, they shook his hand and looked him in the eye. They were then bound to the fucking dark through him.
Well, you see, I don't want to shake his hand so much, but I'll bound myself to him. Come here real quick.
It's his casting. It's the way he does his casting.
Most of you are powerless in your own fucking lives. Thomas, Gabe. I could go through the whole list.
Oh, fuck.
You know?
Why not?
All of Sewertown.
Mm-hmm.
Your lives are fucking chaotic.
He gets confused and he doesn't finish the list.
George has to walk by every single morning and smile into those fucking cameras. Every fucking morning. But let me point out, you live in a shithole fucking apartment with not a fucking thing in there.
Now, how does he know that George lives in a shithole apartment and doesn't have a thing in there?
What is it?
David's been lurking in his apartment like he did his neighbors in Washington.
And it's nobody else's fault but your own. Bad life choices. Anyone could tell you that being a meth head is a detriment to people's lives. Imagine that. Meth is a detriment to someone's life. The evil shit is going to be repaid. It's just going to be repaid.
Yeah,
And
it's
besides,
definitely
to be quite
Washington.
honest, each one of you alone, without the group protecting you and being involved in that group, ain't worth shit. Couldn't think yourself out of a wet, ripped paper bag.
Ooh.
Whine like little bitches all the fucking time when it doesn't go your way or you feel slighted. But your
Isn't that you,
lives,
Gio?
from what I can tell, from an outside perspective, are fucking
Captain,
chaos.
ain't that you,
You're
Gio?
already in hell. Most of you are already in hell.
I think that's Gio.
Thomas will tell everybody how he's this great composer that has surpassed Beethoven and Mozart and Chopin and all of the other greats. But you sit in a fucking stairwell in an apartment building when you got served. So you're sitting in a fucking stairwell of an apartment building. Yeah, your life is so spectacular. You know? And all of you are exactly the same. Daniel Dowd fucking lives in his mom's garage. I'm corrected, it wasn't her fucking basement. You know? It's just sad. And not one of you has time to actually. The thing is, I win. Just like I wrote. If you go click on that link, what I wrote to Thomas, I published first. And I realized that after I said that yesterday, what else can be said? I win. You do not have time. Most of you don't have even a comprehension of how you would begin to have true contrition in your heart. You wouldn't have the first fucking idea where to even fucking start with that. And we're out of time. Now there's several super volcanoes that are having issues. Lake Michigan just had a fucking earthquake that got felt. You know, it is only a matter of time, and it's only going to take one of those super volcanoes. They call them super volcanoes because they can be an extinction level event when they blow. They cover everything up in the sky. What the fuck did you think the Earth was going to do when it was being cooked? What, it just doesn't have no ways of defending itself. What it's going to do is it's going to shoot a bunch of shit in the fucking air and block out the sun for years. That's what happens with the fucking volcano.
So
a
the
super
dark
volcano.
is coming. Is that what you're saying?
It blocks out the fucking sun.
the sun,
Without
and
the
the
sun,
dark
there's no
will be
heat.
there?
Nothing grows. Everything dies
And it gets
slowly.
dark.
If you're not lucky enough to be by the super volcano, you'll die slowly. Again, you better learn how to fucking live forever, asswipes, because the moment after you take your last breath, you're claimed by the very fucking darkness you love so much. And you can tell yourselves whatever fucking thing it is you want to tell yourselves. You go ahead and make a zillion videos about me. Go say whatever the fuck it is that can come into your head, because that's what you do. That's the reason why I'm done reading the fucking emails, because
Again, he's done.
what they do is they throw so much stupid shit at a person that
He was
person
saying
ends
that
up getting to the
Japanese
point where
saying
they're
that.
just trying to defend themselves from fucking mental institution people, and the things that they claim are fucking stupid. And I'm not playing that defensive game. There's no reason for it. There's no fucking reason for it whatsoever. You're going to be claimed, and you can dance around and tell yourselves whatever fucking thing you want, and will. You always have. But it doesn't change the fucking facts. That fact is, the reaping is before all of us. The Strait of Hormuz is closed again, and the world was already on a global fucking depression because of it. And now we have a fucking idiot in office who's saying that now Japan is Islamic, if you listen to him. And they're shooting missiles at our fucking planes. We're being run by fucking madmen and idiots. Pete Hegseth is a fucking idiot.
Well, that's the only thing that I have fucking agreed with him about. We are being ran by
and the
madmen.
hypocrisy is fucking astounding. The fact that they're going on and on and on about that Graham Plattner idiot in Maine and saying, oh, idiot in Maine. The problem with that, Susan, is 3 days of darkness. What I'm wondering is if that's 3 days in heaven. That's what people need to understand. 1,000 years here is 1 day in heaven. That 3 day of darkness could be a very long time. Is that in heaven's time or our time? Because it's never been clarified. Just like that 1,000, the dark rules for 1,400 days, if there's a specific number. How many days? Is that in heaven's days or is that in our days? Because 100 or 1,000 years times 1,000
is 1 million. But now that you just said that, I realize we listened to this stream in the last show because I called you out for not being able to figure that calculation out and having to stop. So now that I realize we already listened to this short one, I'm just going to move on to the next day on the 10th, which was Friday? Yeah.
I feel so bad for Susan. I really do. She was a really sweet person, man. And she's all wrapped up in his fucked up shit.
Yeah, it's not much more different than, what Thomas did. He would suck these women in somehow, and they would just keep contributing and contributing. And that Isabel
One thing I can say is I am sorry. I was on so many drugs back then. And not like illegal ones either. I was on so many different pain pills after my stabbing. They had me on like 8 or 9 of them. So my brain was all fucked up.
Yeah. I didn't even feed the Isabel court documents into the AI for a podcast, but maybe I'll do that because those court documents are fucking unbelievable. And she's the woman that Thomas somehow duped into wiring $400,000 from her account.
God damn. Oh yeah, you were talking about that one time before, weren't you?
Yeah. And she sued him just like Beth Bogarts did, and she did. I believe she did win the case, but I'm sure she's never saw her money back. But the court documents on that were hilarious. So maybe I'll have my AI podcast friend do a deep dive into that one, and we'll talk about that one as well. But let's move on to his stream from his most recent one.
Before we start it, if I dip out, it's because my phone died on me, not for any other reason.
That's all right, man. That's all right. I don't mind when people rage quit anyway.
I'm just letting you know, brother. I don't run rage quit or anything like that. My phone literally is at we're at 10% right now. So.
Oh, well, you better go charge that fucking thing in case you have an emergency.
Well, it took me forever to get up here, right? It's gonna take me forever to get back.
Yeah, so I mean, if you need help getting out, I can help you just like that, I mean, I can throw you out. You don't have to stick around.
Oh, oh God.
Anyway, yeah. Hopefully you don't run into any emergency situation where you need your phone. So,
All
but
right,
anyway,
y'all. Much love, everybody. I'm up out of here. My phone's about to die.
all right,
So,
man. Have a good day, brother.
peace out. A-Town down, everybody.
Yep. See you later. So let's just continue on. This is another short one. This one was on Friday.
So my intention is to keep this live short.
Thank God.
There's a lot going on, and so I wanted to make a video and document it. First of all, my little one is not probably going to make it. Again, she's never really gotten past being poisoned a month ago.
Here comes the grift again.
And I'm assuming that despite the K1 vitamins, the poison has gotten into her kidneys. And so she can barely eat and all of that. And last night I went to bed pissed off with God and heaven, because I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
You're pissed at God.
And so this morning when I woke up, I realized that heaven must have come to me in my sleep, because I woke up with a completely different perspective with all of this. They came into my house and hurt my little one. Sweetest dog I've ever had. Just came in and decimated her, poisoned her. And now I'm having to watch her suffer and die in front of me. And as rough as that sounds, what I realized when I woke up this morning was, now the dark can return the favor. They wanted to take out my little one. Now the dark is going to take out their little ones. That's how it works. The dark needed me to go through it first. And so I'm experiencing it first. Good morning, Susan. And it will happen. I can only get her to eat chicken and rice, and this morning she only ate some of it. She didn't even eat all of it. And so she's not doing well. And I'm having to sit back and just watch it, knowing that the dark is going to return the fucking favor.
Right.
With regards to the emails I received yesterday, let me point out a few things. Thomas Schoenberger, you just let your hand slip. I don't know who the fuck it is you're talking about, but you are afraid that they are listening to your phone conversations. You are afraid that they are investigating you. You knew goddamn well when you sent me that fucking email that I would post it on my blog, because that's what I always do. You knew that. It was illegal to wiretap me and now they're in trouble. That's a threat because you're afraid they're wiretapping you and you.
Oh my God. Ange, whatever you do, we do not want to see live streams of you whacking and blowing. Just saying. I'm just saying.
Want to know what, dickhead? I bet they fucking are.
Keep that shit
Because
on
these
your only
people just needed to know where to look. They were already interested in looking. They just needed someone to show them the fucking rabbit hole.
Keep that kind of shit on your OnlyFans page, Angela.
Now they're fucking watching your dumbass. So you can spin all the fuck you want. I don't know who this dude is.
She's trying, guys, you don't understand Angela, so she often talks in code, and basically she's saying that she went to the sex toy store. That's basically what she's saying. She's just talking in code. She learned that from certain people on the internet. But that's okay, Ange. It's all good. Just like I said, keep that stuff on your OnlyFans because we don't want to pop in on a live stream of inappropriate stuff.
I barely ever know any of the people you bring up. Couldn't.
Hey, it's bad enough we have to see Sugar in the fucking bathtub, for Christ's sake.
Give a fuck less who they are anyway. But in that conversation, you're worried that they're listening to you now. And I bet they've been listening to you for a while now. And that's the reason why you sent me the email, knowing that I would post it on my blog, knowing that they would probably read my blog. You're fucked, dickhead. And as far as Johnny Dub goes, you know, I am angry.
He's angry.
Dog, my littlest dog, they poisoned a month ago and now she's dying. She was on the K1 vitamins. The vet gave it to try and stave off the poison going into her kidneys. But now they're in her kidneys and she's not doing well. And I'm having to watch her suffer and die because I don't have the money to put her down. But now I realize that it's supposed to work this way. It's all providence. Because the dark is feeding off of my pain. And let me tell you, it's painful. It's painful.
Then you better get some more KY.
What you're watching is someone's heart becoming fucking stone in live fucking television. Because that's what's happening.
Uh-huh.
And then Johnny Dub sends me the whole thing. Oh, well, we're going to keep emailing you because otherwise your blog will go down. Dude, what the fuck? Am I 12? Your little reverse psychology isn't going to work, dickhead. Of course I'm going to post your shit. And it is going to get worse before it comes worse. And it's going to get much worse. And then after you guys take your last breath, I can't wait for you to have fun in the amusement park I built for you in the dark.
Well, I think at this point, many people can't wait for you to take your last breath because you're a fucking idiot. Just saying. Just saying.
The fact that you would talk to my little one, you know? No, I don't have a job. I'm disabled. I make $1,000. I do not monetize my YouTube.
He's mental, guys.
Monetizing my YouTube would mean they would tell me what I could and could not say. And fuck that. These neo-Nazi motherfucking pedophiles are on top of me because the other Harlan hitman had to brag this morning and sent me a fucking email bragging about hurting my dogs. Hides in the goddamn dark. They all hide as anonymous. They're all in the fucking shadows. They all hide in the shadows with their little anonymous names, thinking that they're all that. Thinking that they're all that kind of shit. Who do you fucking sue? And the Shelby County, Iowa Sheriff, if I was fucking George and Alex, I'd be worried. Because when it comes down to it, if it comes down to Neil taking the rap and actually admitting the shit that he's involved with, or putting it off on fucking George and Alex and the fucking cunts next door, who I'm outside talking to one of the neighbors. They can't see who I'm talking to. You couldn't hear them. And then all of a sudden I walk outside and start talking and they have to laugh really loud so everyone can hear. Weirdest fucking thing I've ever had. Fucking gossipy fucking bitches. But how exactly are you able to live the way you do when there's only one income in that house from what I can see? Because since you're out there fucking gardening all the time, I can't imagine you get paid to garden in your yard. And they're just a fucking manager at a grocery store. And yet you had all your windows done and complete siding, have a boat, go on vacation, do all kinds of shit. Fuck, had to have spent $1,000 on fucking fireworks. You know?
Why is he worried about someone else's employment and finances? I don't get it. They all, I mean, jealousy, obviously, because he don't have a pot to piss in.
No. And I know goddamn well that you're watching George and Alex get in my house. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? They just took out my little one and I'm having to watch him suffer. Guess what comes next?
What? What? The darkness?
You reap what you fucking sow. Same now as it was when it was spoken, let alone when it was written. And so my vet tried to save my dogs. They poisoned my dogs. They get into my house all the time. They're working with the Shelby County, Iowa Sheriff's Department. Neil Gross and all of them are helping them. T, when I called him out, was all, oh, you tell him that I don't work with the cops. Oh, he was posting all over. Fucking threats, posting all over. Okay, dude, you're either helping the fucking sheriff's department or you're helping the fucking pedophiles. Which one would you fucking prefer, dude? But because you're involved, the dark gets to return to you guys. You took out my little one. Now the dark gets to return the favor. And I know you'll bitch like little bitches that you are.
So Jack, he supposedly has cameras, but he claims that they have a cell phone blocker or a Wi-Fi blocker, and so that they block his Wi-Fi so his cameras don't work every time they come in his house. And then he claimed that they were getting in so easy, so he grifted for like, I don't know, almost $300 to buy some new lock for his door. And a week after he put the new lock on, he was still claiming they were getting in his house. And there was no forced entry, so they obviously were supposedly coming through the doors. But he had just bought this high-dollar lock that supposedly nobody would be able to get into. Supposedly he bought it after he grifted almost $300 for people to buy a new lock. So, yeah, make any of that make any sense?
How it's okay that I'm going through it, but oh my God, to say that fucking the dark would deliver the same to you is victimizing you. You know?
Yeah, mine record to a thumb drive. I have two different.
Get my dog.
I have two different sets of cameras on my property. I have blink cameras. I have a few of those in strategic places, and they record to a thumb drive. And then I have my other primary set of cameras. There's 11 of them, and they record to a DVR that is deeply hidden within the house. And they would have to find a way to cut those off because they record to a DVR, not just to the internet. Yeah. So he's full of shit. He's just full of shit.
The thing about it is that I could take her in and have her cremated. It's a little over $100. But because they have to cremate her after they put her down. But if I want her back, that's another $125. And fuck, if I'm just going to do that and I don't want her back, then fuck, why don't I just throw her out in the goddamn garbage? You know? But I don't want to hear people, you know, the whole thing about it is I just want to let everyone know. They all come in here, oh, I'm going to donate, oh, I'm going to donate. And it never fucking happens. And it's because they figure, well, if I'm donating, then nobody else will feel like they're compelled to donate to you. And that's exactly what the game is. That's how the fucking game is. Because they don't want anyone helping me. They don't want anyone. They're pissed off that people helped me and it saved my house. They're pissed off that people helped me and it saved my blog. Read the emails that Thomas sends me. He is so focused on the donations that I get. Their fucking neo-Nazi pedophile operation is very focused on me. Very focused on me. Dude, I'm not playing. say keep your fucking money, because I know it's bullshit anyway. And so now I blocked your ass. Because that's what it is. Oh, I'm going to donate. I don't want to hear. If you want to donate.
Damn it, I was muted. So just a warning, guys. One of my children are on their way here. I've got a couple things that I'm going to go do. I'm going to try to get through the shorter thing before they get here. But if not, if the stream abruptly ends, that's why, because my child showed up and I have some things to do in real life. So I apologize in advance if I have to just cut the stream off. But we're going to let this continue play and try to get through it.
Then donate. But if I hear you sitting there talking about it, I'm going to block your ass. Because it's all bullshit. It's all a goddamn game. And most of this isn't for me. Thomas sending me a thing talking about how some dude wiretapped him. That was meant for me to publish so that people could read what he was writing about how he doesn't want to be wiretapped. Johnny Dub sending the thing, oh, well, what, you thought telling me, oh, we're going to keep emailing you because you'll put it, our screenshots of our shit are the only thing that's keeping your blog up and going, people reading. What, did you think I was going to get all upset and be like, oh, you motherfucker, I'm not publishing anything you do? Fuck that. Of course people are reading my blog to see the fucking shit you send me. That's a no fucking brainer right there. What am I, 12? You think your little reverse psychology is gonna fucking work? Because I'm 12? You deal with too many fucking kids is the problem. That's your whole fucking group. Kids and yes men. And am I upset that I'm having to watch my little one suffer and die? You're goddamn right I am. You're goddamn right. And if you can't understand it, I wish the same for you. That way you'll understand it. You'll understand my pain. If you don't understand it, then let it happen to you. So you can understand it. But saying that, oh my God, is just crossing a line, right? It's good for the goose, but not good for the gander. And that's how this shit has always worked. Fuck, who gives a fuck what happens to those kids, as long as they're not your kids. Otherwise, fuck, who cares? That's not for everybody. So those of you who are in here are like, because there are some of you who that's not true for. It's not an all or nothing. But the unfortunate thing is it does seem to be the majority. Unfortunately. Not everybody, but the majority. And now the dark is going to return to you. You don't realize. And it is going to get worse before it gets so much fucking worse. And just wait till after you take your last breath. You ain't going to like the amusement park that's waiting for you. You ain't gonna like it at all. And you can puff up your chest and bounce around with your little fucking anonymous asses all you want. And all of your goddamn games. But it was Johnny Dub and Thomas Schoenberger who got Isaac Cappy to go on Nathan Stoltman. Look at what's happened to Isaac Cappy. Fuck, look at what happened to Nathan Stoltman. Same fucking thing. It's just I fight back. You're not gonna run me into a fucking mental hospital. I'm not Nathan Stoltman.
All right, guys. So my son's here. I'm not going to end the stream. I want to finish at least playing Sugar out. So Pavana's going to let the Sugar stream finish playing. And then when it's over, Pavana will end the stream at that point in time. So I'm not going to be here at the moment. So, hey, peace out to all of you and enjoy the rest of the show.
And I'm certainly not going to turn to any of you for help. It was Isaac Cappy calling Craig Sawyer. That's how he ended up in that military base 2 minutes from that fucking bridge. And they tortured him to death. And I believe Johnny Depp was involved with that along with Craig Sawyer, to be quite honest. To be quite honest. And I know they watch every fucking thing I do. They're probably watching right now. You know? People just needed someone to come along and show them where to look. Michael Aquino, Thomas Schoenberger, Gabe Hoffman, Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, aka real name Doug Masenko, lives in fucking Tacoma, Washington. Craig Sawyer, Titus Frost, all of Sewertown, which is a gaming platform. Corey Daniel, aka Phoenix Enigma, his wife Alicia Ray, aka the Sicilian Witch. Alicia Ray was Isaac Cappy's whore before he ended up dead. Now she's Corey Daniel's whore. Paula Davis, Jesse Davis, who own and run Sewertown. Daniel Dowd, Geo Farnsworth, aka Geo Harris, aka who the fuck knows what that fucking Nazi's email is, and he sends me pictures of him, or no, he posted the shit on YouTube of him being in Nazi garb. That's the reason why they say this pedophile shit is a satanic neo-Nazi pedophile operation. That's why. You have neo-Nazis and fucking Satanists involved with it. Tara Joyce. Can't forget Tara Joyce. Brett Trimble. Manuel Chavez, aka DeFango. You know, they have no idea what's coming for them. They have no idea. Me going through what I'm having to go through with the demise of my little one is all providence. And let me tell you, you guys struck a blow. Fucking turning my heart to stone. You ain't gonna like the fucking results when it happens. You ain't gonna like it. That's all I'm saying. You can puff up your egos right now and run around like the little fucking anonymous peacocks that you are. Thomas Schoenberger sends a bunch of fucking pictures out, has them all over Google. If you just Google Thomas Schoenberger and click on images, every fucking picture almost, except the one that I have, is of him when he was 20. He ain't 20 anymore. It's all fucking bullshit. They're fucking neo-Nazi fucking pedophiles hurting kids, homeless kids. But who gives a fuck about the homeless kids, right? Shit, they're homeless. Fuck, if they didn't want to be homeless, they should go get jobs. You know? Isn't that how it works? But if it's okay to fucking hurt my little one, it's okay to hurt your little ones. And that's how the dark is going to feel. That's how the dark is going to feel. So get ready. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, and the dark is the Lord's vengeance. I had to agree to go through it first. And it's awful. It's awful. It's just breaking my fucking heart. And they were older. They're old anyway. But all of this is because they poisoned her a month ago. She's never gotten over it. And now she's just getting continuously worse. And they're fucking bragging about it. But Thomas Schoenberger is afraid that they're listening to his fucking communications. I hope the fuck they are. Johnny Dub seems to think that if he can get me all incensed about putting their stuff on my blog, I'll stop. I won't. I'm well aware that people go and read my blog to read your stupid shit. I'm also aware you can't help yourself but fucking send it to me. Fuck, the Harlan Hitman dude sent me something at 4:58 this morning. Woke up thinking about me and had to send the shit. And when it comes down to it, you all can count on one thing for sure. Every fucking one of you is corrupt. The neo-Nazi pedophiles are corrupt. Thomas, Doug Mesner, Daniel Dowd, Tara Joyce, they're all corrupt, but so is the Shelby County, Iowa Sheriff and his whole fucking department. All corrupt. And the minute it comes where they have to throw someone under the fucking bus, if I was George, because he's an old fucking meth head and Alex is an undocumented Mexican. Who do you think they're going to believe when Neil Gross throws you under the fucking bus? Says that you're working with them, but they didn't know. Who do you think they're going to believe? Georgie, your old meth head ass, or Neil Gross, the sheriff? Same thing with you, Alex. Who do you think they're going to believe? The undocumented Mexican who can barely speak English, or the fucking sheriff? And why you think Neil Gross has any fucking loyalty to you is beyond me. No loyalty among thieves, and even less among fucking neo-Nazi pedophiles. That is a guarantee. So just let everyone know, this weekend when I do a live, someone asked me about detailing all the shit about Johnny Gosch. And so I'm going to talk about Franklin Files. I'm going to talk about Noreen. I'm going to talk about Paul Bonacci. I'm going to talk about all of them. So this weekend, if you want to know what I know about the Johnny Gosch case, come on by, because I'm going to detail it all. That's going to be my focus on my weekend post. And so for all of you who want to know, because there's a lot there. And so, but right now I'm having to watch my little one suffer and die. And again, I don't want to hear that dude who was coming and saying, you want $500? You want $500? It's all bullshit. That game is a game for Thomas, because Thomas seems to think if everyone thinks that people are donating, then no one will feel like they're donating. And that's the whole fucking key of his plan. She's my baby. She's my little one. She's my littlest one. She's the littlest one I've ever had. Sweetest. It's ripping out my fucking heart. Congratulations. But let me tell you, you better hope you can live for fucking ever, assholes. Because if you can't, karma's going to be a severe bitch. And I don't think at this point in time it's even going to start in death. I think it's going to start before. Take out my little one. Now the darkness is all inclined to take out yours. And if you think you're going to get me to care, you better think again. Again, what you're all starting to see, in the end, good men will fail. And I am telling you, my heart is turning to stone. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Because let me tell you, asswipes, your rituals and all of your little spells and all of your little casting doesn't work worth the shit anymore, motherfuckers. Your shit doesn't work. But mine does. It's gonna start getting a whole lot worse. Can I get a fucking hallelujah?